Chapter 1. I'm a good person. It's weird. Everyone knows that I'm a good person, a law-abiding citizen. Why is the public security officer in front of me still bothering me? As a law-abiding citizen of Sulphur Mountain City, I pay taxes on time, work hard, I'm a good employee in the department, a good neighbor in the community, and a good partner. Look, I'm also a good person who loves pet. With this medal, my Abao is also the champion of the community's Pet Star competition. The medal and ribbon as proof hung on the wall at the side. On it were the words, winner of the 7th Sulphur Mountain City Pet Competition, and wishing our healthy and cute Abao eternal health. And Abao, who helped me obtain glory, was enjoying his dinner under the wall. Unfortunately, no matter how I explained, the dark elf public security officer just stared at me without saying a word, as if he was certain that I was lying. Pet? Abao? You are talking about that scary monster. He is one of the reasons why you were complained about. The Lop Fu family is accusing your pet of attacking their son. At the corner of the wall, the slandered Abao was drooling as he licked the bone. Seeing his master looking at him, he even drooled and smiled foolishly. How cute. Lop Fu? Who is it? There's no one in my memory. Just as I was hesitating whether to use a detection spell to look back at my deteriorating memory, the dark elf public security officer seemed to notice my confusion and sneered. Don't you think that your words aren't convincing? The monster you raised still has his son's shin bone in his mouth. Oh? So it's the skeleton soldier family next to the street. They really like to play with Abao. What a good person. I hurriedly floated over and pulled out the bone from Abao's mouth. Helpless, I could only raise my fist and hit this stupid dog's head. Let go, you idiot. If you don't want to be locked up in the quarantine room, let go. What an obedient dog. Seeing my persistence, the cute Abao whimpered and gave up his treasure with a heartbreaking expression. Don't worry, Abao. After I get rid of this stinky woman, I will let the Lop Fu family play with you for an entire year. I promised softly. This shin bone was evidence, and it was hard to argue. I squeezed out a smile and tried to please the public security officer in front of me. Misunderstanding, it's all a misunderstanding. Abao was just too enthusiastic. It always likes to make new friends, but it's always reluctant to leave. Isn't it normal to get a souvenir from a good friend? I tried to hand him the bone, but the magistrate jerked back. Don't come here. Keep a safe distance. Who knows what kind of evil spell you have in it? My colleagues are still outside. If I don't go back, do you plan to face the wrath of the entire city's public security management team? I was already being submissive enough, but this little girl didn't give me any face. I kindly offered her the shin bone, but she actually took 2 steps back as if she had seen something disgusting. She even put on a wary expression. I'm a public security officer representing the city. Do you know the consequences of assaulting a police officer? It's a misunderstanding, a misunderstanding. I'm really a good person. Sighing inwardly at the dark elf's sensitivity and vigilance towards magic, I could only quietly disperse the hypnosis and venomous snake curse in my tibia, allowing the malicious magic to silently disperse. I don't care if you're a good person or not. According to Sulphur Mountain City's public security regulations, the compensation of 50 gold coins and an apology cannot be missed. The deadline is 3 days. That girl, after throwing down those harsh words, took back the shin bone and actually turned to leave. If you don't want me to look for you again, remember to report to the town security within 3 days. Closing the door, my face turned ugly. Smelly girl, be careful that you don't get knocked up and sold to the slave market. In this underground world, dark elves have always been the most popular and valuable commodity. I cursed viciously in my heart, but I didn't say it out loud. Because if I did, if that girl was really sold, wouldn't I become the first suspect? I wasn't that foolish. Big sis, you're too amazing. You actually dared to enforce the law with such a scary monster. When I saw him, I was scared out of my wit. Humph, amen, these fellows are actually the same. Strong on the outside but weak on the inside. As a glorious town security of Sulphur Mountain City, you should know. Not far away, the conversation between two dark elves could be heard. Tsk, you actually dare to look down on me. If it wasn't for the fact that I have turned over a new leaf and decided to become a good person, you would have been sold to a brothel tonight. The adorable Abao saw that his master was a little dejected. He even came over and licked my face with his huge tongue with a poisonous sting. All right, Abao, remember that you are the noble Chromagus, not a stupid house dog that drools everywhere. Come, let's go apologize to the Lop family and have dinner. Let's have dinner. Hearing that there would be dinner, this stupid dog drooled at the same time. He hugged me even more excitedly and licked me with all his might. Dogs are indeed the best companions of humans, even more so for the two-headed Cerberus. It's just that the cost of food is a little expensive. Well, bones with magic power are the best food for them. However, with the enthusiastic support of the Lop family, we can probably save a month's worth of food. Right, I forgot to introduce myself. I, Roland Mist, 376 years old this year. I'm a good person, no, to be more precise, I'm a good Lich. If you were to ask the people of the world what they think of Liches, I'm afraid that there wouldn't be many positive comments. Heinous villains. The ultimate existence of the undead and dark magic. The nightmare of the living and the undead's king. Although I have always treated it as the envy of the mediocre and the false accusations of the hypocrites, I can't deny that sometimes, the discrimination of these biased people does bring me a lot of trouble. At the very least, even in Sulphur Mountain City, where infighting is forbidden, I have to deal with a few heroes who form a group to fight against evil or adventurers who create an evil mansion every month. Although most of the time, they are unable to even break through the defensive formation of this mansion, but sometimes I still welcome their arrival. For example, when I lack experimental subject. For example, now. I must kill you. Don't touch me there. Darned tentacle demon. Not here either. My body is very sensitive. No. I beg of you, kill me, kill me. If you have the guts, kill me. The half-elf ranger in front of me, who was still threatening to execute justice on behalf of the heavens to get rid of me, the villain, now, she can only moan on the filthy floor of the dungeon. Let me go, at least, kill me. No. After many times of accumulation, she finally reaches the peak. After an intense moan, she, who has reached a certain climax, first tightens her body. The next second, she weakly collapses onto the ground. Those eyes which were originally filled with hatred, even though they have lost their focus, are still instinctively staring at me. Those lifeless eyes, after a long time, are filled with hatred again. Io, don't look at me like that. Getting too excited isn't good for your body. Bastard! 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 Is it because there are too few curses in the elf language, or did your language teacher die too early? The same words aren't enough to excite me. Scoundrel, scoundrel. The few days of imprisonment and torture have worn down the female ranger's willpower. However, the high elf's head that was always held high in her pride hasn't been erased. Even though she has overexerted her stamina, the golden-haired ranger is still cursing me. All right, I have rested enough. Let's try again in the next round. Asterisk clack. Asterisk with a snap of my fingers, countless black tentacles start moving again. These tamed monsters summoned by the pink book can no longer suppress their desire to get close to the female. No! I beg you, let me go. But, how could my tamed monsters listen to the pleas of a prisoner? I'm ticklish. Yes, it's just tickling. I am a good person. I won't do anything that is fated to be seduced. It's not up to you. Tentacles, focus on the ticklish flesh on her waist and neck. That is her weakness. Let me go, you bastard. Ha ha. as expected of the punishment that the female ranger fears the most. Very quickly, under the countless tentacles, she rolls on the ground in laughter. Humph. Serves you right. Who told you to barge into my house without permission? This is an obvious crime. If I don't teach you a lesson, everyone will think that I am a pushover. Of course, I won't say anything that harms others without benefiting myself. How can I waste my mana just to punish her? I beg you, I admit defeat, I surrender. I will agree to any condition. There's no need for that. You being hung like this is already a contribution to me. Looking at the slowly increasing number on my interface, I can't help but sigh. Sigh, it's already been 3 days and I only got 2 evil points. How long will it take for me to accumulate 100,000 evil points to revive my physical body? Thinking about the blissful sexual life that everyone yearned for, I look down at my physical body that is only left with bones. Very quickly, I look at the unlucky prisoners in the prison. Punishing evil is also promoting good, for the sake of evil points. No, for the sake of justice, for the sake of our blissful sexual life. No, for the sake of becoming a good person. Your suffering is my wealth. Accept your fate. Inside the cages there are all kinds of prisoners. There are Taurens, elves, and most of them are humans. Let me out. I am not guilty. Don't come over. Cries of agony and pleas for mercy rise and fall, but the Lich ignores them. If they scream too much, the skeleton soldiers guarding the cage will whip them to shut them up. Roar, human rapist. He has committed 6 crimes and has been arrested 3 times. However, because he has a good older brother who is the boss of a gang in the docks, the victims are too intimidated to report the crime. In the end, the Supreme Court of Sulphur Mountain City released him twice due to lack of evidence. However, at this moment, this young master of the gang is the one who is crying out the most miserably. Since you like to mate so much, I'll let you mate as much as you want. Thus, I found a few 3-meter-tall ogres to play with him every day. However, they are all male, and they are even thicker than a human's calf. Alright, now that he is in a miserable state in his prison cell, I feel disgusted just thinking about it. Let's talk about his neighbors. Dia Kim, professional swindler of the goblins. Although he has been accused in dozens of cases at the same time, his methods are superb. The victims often lack conclusive evidence, and this fellow is willing to spend money to hire the best lawyer in Sulphur Mountain City. Thus, he is still at large. At this moment, this gambler's eyes are bloodshot. I won. All your money is mine, so you have to release me according to the agreement. I have 4 KS. The undead card player on the other side laughs. He opens his hand, revealing 4 aces, which happens to be a little bigger than his opponent. No, 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 that's impossible. You have already won 767 rounds in a row. You are cheating. Cheating without being caught is a legitimate method. Isn't this your famous saying? Alright, tell me your last hidden fortune and secret. I will definitely make a comeback next round. Of course, the undead card player is cheating. This is a magic card that I have specially enchanted. He can get whatever he wants, so how can Dia win? If it was a normal person, after losing a few hundred rounds in a row, they would have long given up. However, Dia is a gambler whose eyes are red from losing. Seeing the opportunity to obtain freedom and wealth in front of him, how can he let it go? The undead card player doesn't even need to persuade Dia to fall for it. He just needs to play by himself, and the greed in the goblin gambler's bones will make Dia, who has nothing to do in his prison cell, come over. What if I can win a round, then I can break even. Thus, just like the victims who have been cheated by him in the past, this fellow is brought to the bottomless abyss by greed and has already lost all of his fortune. Actually, I have no interest in his trickery and secret. However, every time he loses, the indignation and anger that comes from the bottom of his heart will give me more evil points. On the other hand, his neighbor, who has already become numb, will receive less and less evil points. This is a prison that belongs to me personally. Most of the prisoners here are bastards who, due to certain reasons, the officials of Sulphur Mountain City are unable to punish, but their crimes are unforgivable. My unreliable system can obtain strength from the pain and misfortune of others. In order to be a good person, I can only helplessly choose the path of getting rid of evil and doing good. Thus, through certain connections, I bring these bastards here to serve as food for my evil Lich system. The treatment of the hero who charged into hell alone can be considered to be the best. In any case, she only smashed a few flower vases and scattered a few skeleton gardeners. After teasing her for a few days, she will be thrown out. As for the rest, they are all trash worthy of the death penalty. Thus, I will let them enjoy what they have done to others, or rather, suffer the consequences of their own actions. For example, I will let rapists taste what it feels like to be raped, swindlers taste what it feels like to be cheated until they go bankrupt, robbers and burglars taste what it feels like to have everything stolen, and unscrupulous merchants who maliciously hoard goods and create famine will taste what it feels like to sleep on a mountain of gold but not be able to buy a single piece of bread. Lunatic! You lunatic! I beg of you, let me go. Harming others without benefiting oneself is so meaningless. Their pain will be turned into my strength through the nameless system, turning into the cornerstone of my revival. I am not crazy, you are the one who is crazy. Crazy Lich. I beg of you, let me go, I am willing to do anything. Crazy Lich? Indeed, there are many who say that I have long gone crazy, but the first one to say it was that person. I stroked my chin with my knuckles and carefully recalled. When exactly did I start going crazy? Was it when I was a judge who insisted on fairness and justice in my previous life, when I was stripped of my position by illegal officials, and finally pushed aside to the point where I couldn't even work as a lawyer? Was it when I reincarnated into this world with that strange system, thinking that I am the main character of destiny, and swore to make my people and family happier, only to realize that the cruel fate cannot be reversed, and step by step, I lost my country, family, and all my loved ones? Was it when I swore to take revenge on the gods and the deceiver, and formed an army of the undead with my broken body, only to realize that on the path of revenge, behind me is already a pile of corpses and ruins, and that I have become like the deceiver and the ambitious, constantly creating disasters and tragedies under the pretext of righteous schemes? Perhaps from the very beginning, I, who has the memories of 2 lives, have already gone crazy after discovering the truth of the world. Chapter 2. Legend has it that every transcender who breaks through the boundaries of time and space will receive a gift from the world. Yep, it's commonly known as the essential cheat of any transcender. The evil Lich system. That's my cheating cheat. In the past, it didn't go by this name. It had a good name like the Radiant Night King training system. But unfortunately, after I abandoned my identity as a holy knight and started learning dark magic, it changed to this name. In the past, the daily quests it gave me were to help old ladies on the streets, to help little girls find their lost kittens, and so on. It wasn't as ridiculous as it was now. Look at today's daily quests. It's this ridiculous choice of 2 again. Destroy any town with a population of 30,000 or more, and you'll be rewarded with 10,000 evil points. Snatch 3 children's lollipops, and you'll be rewarded with 1 evil point. If you don't complete both, then 2 evil points will be deducted. Pooey. Do you think I'm an idiot? If I really destroy a town, I guarantee that an entire epic Holy Knight team will spawn to hunt me down. At that time, I'll be able to earn a lot, but I won't have any money to spend. I casually took a lollipop from a passing Tauren lowly and watched as the crying little girl was dragged away by her mother. Just as I put the lollipop into my mouth, I heard the crisp sound of the lollipop hitting against a bone. Only then did I remember that I no longer had any sense of taste. Sigh, when can I enjoy the taste of delicious food again? Although magic can fill me up, it's really not delicious. Even though the little girl's mother was dragging the naughty child away, the little girl seemed unwilling to give up. She stared at me with her big, watery eyes, as though she had discovered that I couldn't eat any food and was hoping for something. Did she think that the passing Lich uncle was just playing a prank? He would immediately return the lollipop to her. Alright, in order to not let her down, I chewed on the lollipop and spat it out piece by piece onto the ground. Whoa, Mom. Strange uncle stole my lollipop. Don't look, hurry up and leave. Thus, as expected, I received a melodious cry. At that moment, my mood became much better, because I thought of a certain naughty child who was out of control. Do undead not have human rights? Ancient magic scrolls were used as drawing paper, dragon blood ink was used as paint, alchemy potions that I painstakingly created became soda, and even my ribs were secretly taken off to be used as jigsaw puzzles. I only slept for 2 hours and the laboratory was turned into ruins. The naughty child's destructive power is too terrifying. Sigh, when can I take revenge? Whenever I thought about those unruly children, especially a certain older child who had yet to be tamed, I would gnash my teeth in hatred. Suddenly, I heard a system notification. Ding. Congratulations to the host for making the 100th loli/Shota cry. The reward is 10 evil points. Lollipops that you is that evil of is. Not included in the statistic. Expired fake lolis are evil. Rank, God, I that of 1, as that if I made 100 I won 1, that I won that the system. God, that you, that as transcendent evil, has as that said that as evil as has that, God. Thus my eyes lit up as I looked at the little girls and shotas on the street. Even if I don't have a transcendent, it is my duty as a good person to teach naughty children some manners, so that everyone can avoid the same misfortune. How should I play it? Right, animate creation, turn the naughty children's toys into disgusting monsters that run around. Magic paint, turn Xiong Haizi's lollipops into a malignant yellow dung color. As a victim of the naughty children, whenever I thought about how I could take revenge for my destroyed magic scrolls and precious books, bad ideas started popping up one after another. No, that's not good enough. Turn the pillow covers into man-eating monsters, so that naughty children will be afraid of pillows. Right, there's also Avalon's black tentacles, so that you can enjoy an itchy hell. Right, aren't naughty children afraid of ghosts? Hee, it's time to rebuild the undead army. Awaken, my undead calamity! That day, I finally found out that there were less than 200 naughty children on this street, leading a few thousand skeletons, abominations and zombies on a parade was really a waste. That day, before the town's security received a report and arrived at the scene, I was pinned down by a dark elf squad. I had already walked through the entire street and only managed to make 160 of them cry, when the town's security found out that the reason why I summoned the undead army was to take revenge on the naughty children. The looks of disdain on the faces of the town's security became a new black history for me. Congratulations to the host for being looked down upon by 100 females at once. You have obtained the special achievement. Is there something wrong with this child's head? And the title, Mentally Retarded Child. After equipping it, there is a certain chance to gain the sympathy of females, but the favorability of females towards the user of the equipping will be reduced by 100. Anyway, I was already used to being scammed by the system and my reputation was already at its lowest point. With my system acknowledged -88 charm as proof, it wouldn't matter even if my favorability with the opposite sex dropped by another 100 points. Anyway, the result would be the same. I wouldn't be able to find a girlfriend. Why was it that even though it was a logical analysis, when I said those words, I felt as though my eyes were filled with tears of blood? Alright, I was a great mage who had been single for 300 years. But at this moment, at the very least, I had completed my revenge on my nemesis, the naughty children. Recalling those wailing naughty children, I smiled gleefully. I had already thought of what to write in today's diary. A.D. 1896, Summer of the Dragon, 6th of March. This event was destined to be forever engraved in the memories of the naughty children of Sulphur Mountain City. It was known in history as the Lollipop Hunter Incident and the Pillow Monster Cannibalism Incident. On that day, the children recalled the terror of being dominated by that fellow, the humiliation of having their beloved things snatched away, the despair of being swallowed by their own toys, the fear of being surrounded by the undead. Just as my imagination was running wild, the sound of the system notification came again. Ding. You have achieved the achievement of making 100 naughty children cry in a day. You have been awarded 10 evil points. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the honorary title, Nemesis of Naughty Children. After equipping this title, you will feel a natural threat towards Lolas and Shotas below the age of 12. Gentle reminder, if you make 500 naughty children cry in one go, you will be awarded the honorary title, Naughty Child Killer. If you make 1,000 cry in one go, at this moment, the system notification actually paused for a moment. I couldn't help but feel a little expectant. Although it was a spoof title, if it could make the naughty children stay away from me, it would be a pleasant surprise. If you make 1,000 of them cry in one go, you will be awarded the honorary title, You're Already So Old, Yet You Still Care About Children. Can you be any more bored? Host, thank me. Actually, this is the most suitable title for you right now. F***ck, I really can't take this anymore. Damn system, isn't this all your fault? I'm going to fight it out with you. Master, this time you went to jail for stealing lollipops. Next time, will you go to jail for stealing girls' underwear? When that time comes, I really don't want to come and pick up perverts anymore. The one who spoke was my most loyal lackey, the half-demon head maid of my mansion, the silver-haired Eliza. Black gold-framed spectacles, silver twin ponytails, small canine teeth and a small tail tied with a purple bow. The Baroque style-made attire brought out the mischievous personality of the little demon to the fullest and also exposed the viciousness of a lich. All along, I was very satisfied with Eliza's appearance. If she could get rid of her cold and venomous personality, that would be even better. It's not like you don't know about that darn system of mine. I just made a few little girls cry and you give me points. This is what a good person should do. Here. She passed a thick photo album to me. This is. Oh, well done, Eliza. As expected of my most loyal lackey. I can roughly guess what happened. This is the contact book of the largest kindergarten in Sulphur Mountain City. I have carefully selected a list of names on it. It should be able to help Master in completing your mission. Well done. I thought that you were hoping for me to die earlier so that you could regain your freedom. It was all my misunderstanding. Great, you are a good person too. Let me see. I flipped open the contact book, but my face turned uglier and uglier. The contact information of the 3 children of the Archbishop of Sulphur Mountain City, the youngest daughter of Dragon Hunter Amro, who has just entered kindergarten, the precious son of war god Xianxiu. Are you sure you are helping me and not sending me back to the Gui Ming residence? My angry glare was ignored by the other party as usual. The half-demon girl pushed up the frame of her spectacles and a cold light flashed on the lenses. The reputation of the Lollipop Hunter has spread throughout the entire Sulphur Mountain City. Even when I leave the mansion, I will be pointed at. For the sake of my reputation as a lady, I do want to change my job. Perhaps, Master, you should also pay me the salary that I have owed you for 10 years. Ha ha. Mentioning money hurts feelings. Let's go, I can't wait to return to our warm home. Running away isn't what a gentleman should do. Also, please don't change the topic. Why did you pull me along and run? What did you do? As expected of the little Eliza, who has followed me for so long. Today's daily mission is a magnificent explosion, you know, I understand. Please hold on tight, I will change the direction of my magic and run. The silver door opened, and the master and servant hurriedly entered. After the short-range teleportation magic dissipated, there was no one in the room. In the background there was a huge explosion, followed by the sound of the fire alarm. Delayed flame explosion bomb? Aren't the prisoners arrested by the town security magic sealed? No, it just looks like it. Flour mixed with chili powder and a little dust, it becomes a dust bomb. The power isn't great and it won't kill anyone, but there will definitely be no evidence. As expected of an intelligent Lich. The prisoner is wearing a magic sealing ring and is unable to use magic, but you still use the canteen materials to make a handmade bomb. Thank you, I will feel embarrassed if you praise me like that. No one is praising you. Alright, at least as a Lich, this should be a compliment. What is a Lich? Not a good person, but the most terrifying demon. This was probably the first thought that all living beings in Violet heard of this term. That skeleton gives me goosebumps. Those will-o'-the-wisp eyes are so scary. I always feel like he is doing something bad. This was the opinion of the ordinary people. The ultimate existence of evil, a schemer and a villain. This was the opinion of the Church's Holy Knight. As the final home of the undead and dark mages, the Liches who were only skeletons usually had a bad reputation, but slander, it's all prejudice. How can you judge an individual based on their race? I have always thought that discrimination and prejudice based on race, skin color, birth, etc. is a sign of human stupidity. There are only lowly discrimination and prejudice in the world. There is no lowly race, skin color, birth. I am really a good person. If you are considered a good person, then are those bloodthirsty undead in the east of the city saints. We can't be called saints, everyone is a pacifist with a cold face but a warm heart. Look, the undead are so frugal and don't take up space. A graveyard can accommodate an entire family. They don't eat or drink, they work passionately, they only contribute and don't ask for anything. Everyone is a good person. The half-demon maid was amused. Legend has it that as long as a living being entered whole, they would be able to come out in pieces. In the eyes of her master, it was a good place. Hee master, you really know how to joke. Bloodthirsty undead are good people? Then what about those holy church priests, who are highly praised by the citizens? They give free treatment to the citizens. Every Sunday they give out free Holy Communion to help the poor. A bunch of hypocrites and pedophiles. Eliza, look, everyone has desires and needs. If they suppress it too much, even if they aren't a pervert, they will still become a pervert. They keep saying that desire is a sin, but in private they are definitely perverts. Look at those old men being so kind to little boys, it would be weird if there wasn't a problem. And those single-celled Holy Knight, they are all a bunch of barbarians who want to kill me the moment they see me. Alright, I think Master's illness is acting up again. The calamity of Varen in the Sulphur Mountain Range, the ancient red dragon that destroyed an empire all by itself, is probably just a docile little cutie in Master's eyes. No, Little Red hasn't been paying attention to her diet recently, she is a little too fat. If she were to lose another 20 to 30 tons of weight, lose her stomach and show off her curves, she would be even cuter. What happened to our famous Sulphur Mountain City Dark Elf Town Security Squad that protects the peace and is good at helping others? You should be very familiar with them. I have already gone to fetch you 5 times in these 2 months. You can go and ask the unlucky stall owners who were suppressed by them. My opinion is basically the same as theirs. Pooey, a bunch of crazy bitches. Our Gentleman's Freedom Alliance is their natural enemy. Shaking her head helplessly, intentionally ignoring the suspicious organization that her master mentioned, Eliza continued to ask. Our heroic city lord who once saved the world, and whose fame has spread far and wide? He raised the banner of equality for all races and forcefully built Sulphur Mountain City in the chaotic underground world, allowing the chaotic underground world to have a pure land. Chunibu, a severe Chunibu patient who has been suffering from Chunibu for hundreds of years. What era is it now, still playing the old story of a hero fighting the Demon King to save the world, serves him right to be single for the rest of his life. You really dare to say it, both of his weddings were messed up by you, and now people are saying that he is destined to be lonely. His birth is the bane of his parents, he is the bane of his brothers, and his marriage is the bane of his wife. Despite his good qualities and good looks, no girl in Sulphur Mountain City dares to accept his proposal. I didn't do it on purpose. Is there a need to hold a grudge for so long? You didn't do it on purpose? You did it on purpose, didn't you? Let's not talk about the fact that you were the one who told me to spread the rumor of the cursed lone star. Do you know how many girls were scared to tears when you played Undead Calamity and Ghost Parade at someone else's wedding? Aren't I just adding excitement to his wedding? Seeing that the old bachelor finally got married, everyone was too happy and started a ghost parade. Who knew that the bride would be so frightened that she actually peed on the spot? Although I said that I didn't do it on purpose, I was secretly very pleased. I haven't even revived and obtained a physical body, so how can I let you enjoy a comfortable sex life? Master, every time you are pleased, you would cross your arms and stomp your feet. Now your evil intentions are overflowing. All right, let's not talk about your great achievements anymore. What about your Lich brethren in the undead city of Shilu? Those fellows are on the wanted list in every country, and if any one of them gets out, the world will descend into chaos. Actually, everyone has some misunderstandings about us. Life and death are one and the same. Isn't the reason why we study the mysteries of life so that the people of the world can live better? Actually, we are quite skilled at healing. In terms of curative effects and side effects, we are much better than priests' holy light. Their holy light may seem convenient, but it actually drains a person's lifespan. Our life modification technology is non-toxic, harmless, and pollution-free. It solves the root of the problem once and for all. Then why do you still hope for the system to revive you? Why don't you just create a body for yourself? I don't want to become a 3-armed, 6-legged deformed monster. Even if I have a perfect human form, there will be problems sooner or later. Seeing that even the Lich himself was worried about his life modification technology, what else could Eliza say? Fine, fine. Let me show you what I am in your eyes. The cold-faced and venomous ghost granny? The flat-chested maiden, eh? Of course, I wouldn't be so foolish as to say it out loud. Oh, Eliza, of course you are my most trusted subordinate. We once set the grand dream of conquering the sea of stars together. Before you realize your dream of conquering the stars, shouldn't you remember to pay the pitiful orphan girl's wages for more than 10 years? Knowing that her master was acting up again, the silver-haired half-demon pushed up her glasses and a cold glint flashed across her eyes. Her ice-cold words were squeezed out from the gaps of her teeth. If you continue to be so frivolous, are you intending to use your collection? All right, Eliza, I apologize. Thinking about her treasures, a certain Lich immediately admitted defeat. The fallen angel who succeeded in subduing her master hummed a tune as she walked out the door. As the butler of this apartment, she didn't have the time to waste on her Chunibu master. But judging from her tail that was drooping downwards, she didn't seem to be in a good mood. Only after she walked out of the door did I recall some of my past memories. Thus, I muttered to myself softly. Perhaps, barely. You could be considered family. I still remember that little girl who was unwilling to die in the despairing river Styx ruins. She hunted alone in the despairing snowy night in order to survive. Picking you up was the luckiest thing in this world, the only right thing I did in my life. Suddenly, a beautiful face peeked out from behind the door. Her usually ice-cold face was burning red, and the redness extended all the way to her trembling long ears. Then, with a swoosh, she disappeared behind the door once more. Hee, you understand me, but do you think I don't understand you? Stupid evil granny, even if you are sly, you still have to obediently owe me a debt of gratitude and work hard for me until your death." I spoke harshly with a trembling voice and laughed maniacally. Even so, I was a little flustered in my heart. I was heard. I was definitely heard. Chapter 3. 9 White Bone Claw. Following the rule that one must shout out their ultimate move, I roared furiously. Then, I clawed the skeleton soldier's body heavily. Then, with a crisp crack, 2 bones fractured at the same time. Looking at the 9 White Bone Claw magic manual in front of me, I used magic power to regenerate the broken bones in my hand and sighed helplessly. Yet another unusable item. Even though I have white bones, claws, and 9 has used ice magic to replace it, this compound magic is still unusable. Thus, I casually tossed it away, turning it and its seniors from another world into a collection that no one cares about. Yes, this is a product from another world. From the introduction of the secret manual, it seems to be a very strong offensive magic, unstoppable and unstoppable. Just where did I go wrong? There shouldn't be anything wrong with my interpretation. Isn't ice and negative elements? 9 means a lot. Since I have a lot of ice and white bone claw, why doesn't it work? However, it was obvious that in another world, these compound spells were useless. 18 Dragon Subduing Palms, the legendary Dragon Slayer magic. I thought that I could finally take revenge on Little Red Dragon, but in the end, because I was almost slapped to death by her, she even mocked me for doing the skeleton dance. Buddha's palm, it sounds very powerful, but it is obviously a holy light magic that dispels evil. If I really want to learn it, I might really need to be brainwashed by a holy light priest. These secret manuals from another world were obtained from my unreliable system. At the beginning of every month, the system would give me a chance to draw a prize. It would let me choose one of the 3 categories: godly secret technique, godly equipment, and rare treasures. The reason why I kept choosing the godly secret technique, even though the chances of getting it were above 90%, was because the chances of getting it was less than 10%, but it allowed me to obtain the true treasure. Beside the pile of unusable secret manuals, there was an old bookshelf. On it, the treasures that I obtained by chance were placed. Discussing the structure and personnel of the undead army, uncovering the blind spots, teaching you how to maximize the battle prowess of your undead army, Kel Thuzad. The mystery of the past and reality, the restriction of time and space? It was meaningless. We mages are the true masters of time and space, Ricelin Magili. The crafting method of the soul vessel and phylactery. If you were defeated in 1 round, how could you call yourself the final boss? Become an undead, revive 10 or 20 times, and disgust your opponent to death. Tom Marvolo Riddle. The 18 classic moves of mage defense. Let Uncle Mordenkainen teach you how to fight hand to hand. Who said that mages don't know martial arts? Ada. Wag. An army of marionettes and large-scale tactical magic. Evangeline's elegant magic. Only a true archmage wouldn't dirty his own hands. Let your servants drown your opponent, let your opponent vanish before they can even see you. Half of the bookshelf was filled with such magical books. These magical secrets and knowledge from another world were treasures that I viewed as more important than my own life. For a lich who had given up his own body for the sake of endless knowledge, this precious magical knowledge from another world was more important than anything else. Although it was indeed troublesome to determine whether these spells were effective or not. It was obvious that this knowledge came from a different world, and the only way to determine it was to learn and master it myself. 6 Pulse Divine Sword Duan Yu Edition. Isn't this just a simple version of Scorching Ray? Although using 5 fingers to shoot out a lightsaber is very creative, what's the point of having a certain probability of it working? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Isn't that playing with one's own life? This kind of unreliable thing is probably only suitable for people like the main character who rely on luck for a living. The most ridiculous one is still that crossing the river on a reed. What flotation spell that doesn't consume any energy, what lightning is better? I'm already so light that only my bones are left, but didn't I still sink? I even made Eliza have to find the fishmen to fish me out of the river. How embarrassing! Master, the evil points for this month in the underground prison have been collected. There are a total of 39 points, 2 points less than last month. There are 2 prisoners in the prison who are unable to generate points. I suggest that they be replaced. Eliza's reminder reminded me that it was the beginning of the month again. This time, I must get what I wanted. Super Lich System. Following my command, a golden panel appears in front of me. It only has 3 options: lottery, mission, strengthen. Missions are divided into daily missions and storyline missions. Daily missions are mostly nonsensical and give less reward. As for storyline missions, it is currently grayed out. It is obvious that it is unusable for some reason. I have used the strengthen before and there is my personal information on it. However, at this moment it is also grayed out. This isn't a problem with the system, but my personal problem. Roland missed, male Lich, phylactery damaged, unable to be strengthened before it is repaired, strength, 5 agility, 5 vitality, 5 intelligence, 30 charm, minus 88 will, 510 is the basic attribute of a normal person. Other than the main attribute of spellcasters, intelligence, the other attributes are trash with 5 battle power. Job, LV 60 mage / LV 1 lich / LV 20 law incantation, total level 81, overall battle power 79, soul imprint, seal of justice, crown of undead, damaged, ice treader, damaged, son of light, destroyed. My strength has dropped tremendously. Iron bloodline, bronze body, silver prestige, gold will, legend honor, world saint, immortal epic, indestructible semigod. I actually dropped from the pinnacle of the 8th rank to the 4th rank of gold. Soul imprint is the crystallization of a mortal's breakthrough into the realm of legend. It is the accumulation of his life's experience and power, the cornerstone for him to step into a higher realm. A person only has 1 life, so it is possible to have only 1 soul imprint. However, I have 4. There is no other reason other than that I am different from the short-lived mortals. I have lived 4 lives. These 4 soul imprints of mine represent my glorious past of dying 3 times and entering the realm of legend 4 times. Crown of ice, king of the dead, protector of the holy light, they were once my glory. But now they are incomplete. However, I should be satisfied that I am still alive and kicking after dying 3 times. Even my soul imprint is damaged. Not to mention that I am unable to advance any further, it is already inconceivable that I am still alive. Just like what my comrade from another world nicknamed Voldemort said, if I don't revive more than 10 times and transform 3 to 5 times, how can I be considered as the final boss? Although I suffer great losses every time I die, the rewards I reap when I return to the mortal world after overcoming death are not small. The most recent time, due to the damage to my phylactery, my strength dropped drastically. However, the first time I died, I had just entered the realm of legend. The second time I died, I was only at the pinnacle of the 6th rank of semigod. The last time I died, more than 100 years ago, I had already reached the 8th rank of semigod. The loss of precious knowledge and memories of the past is indeed heart-wrenching. Overall, it is still an improvement. However, it is really too embarrassing to die like this. I fail every time and my reputation is ruined. I have to change my avatar again. Anyway, it is not the first time that I have been beaten back to my original state, so I am not discouraged. As long as I earn enough points to repair my phylactery or reconstruct my physical body, with the help of the system, retraining would be a shortcut to reaching greater height. Even if I only have bones, I will still have to wait for that day. Of course, I have had enough of being a lich. Although my talent in undead and ice is astonishing, my attributes are too extreme. If I want to reach the next level, a complete physical body is indispensable. It is not that I don't want to be a bachelor anymore after seeing other people getting married. Who dares to look down on me? There are quite a number of undead getting married in the East District. The Blood Tribe has already formed a family, so why can't a Lich who is also an undead have to be a bachelor? Even a Lich has to fall in love. The Lich is a special kind of life form. Their soul isn't in their physical body, but in a treasure called phylactery. If the phylactery isn't destroyed, even if they die, they can revive on the spot after a period of time. However, if there is a problem with the phylactery, for someone like me who falls in power and is unable to advance for more than 100 years, I can still be considered lucky. However, to a mage, knowledge is power. Even if my strength is unable to advance due to the damage to my phylactery, the knowledge of this other world is still very beneficial to me. Repairing the phylactery requires 80,000 points, and creating a new physical body only requires 100,000 points. How stupid would I have to be to spend points on repairing the phylactery? Looking at the 49,762 points on the interface, I lamented that the progress of my revival wasn't even halfway. I could only calm myself down and set my sights on the last option, lottery. There is only one chance to lottery once a month. Other than secret codices, there are also two options: godly weapon and rare treasure. However, due to my past experience, I usually don't choose them. The last time I drew that evil-destroying holy sword, I almost killed myself. Something like the Spring of Life actually carries the holy light of exorcism. Oriental treasure vermilion fruit? It looks pretty good, it can extend one's lifespan, and it is all natural. However, I didn't even get to eat it. I decisively fed it to a dog along with the Spring of Life. Forget it, knowledge is power. I should just draw the secret codices. Following my command, the gigantic golden wheel starts to spin slowly. Great teleportation spell, great disjunction spell, beast taming spell. Hurry up and stop. The wheel spins faster and faster. Holy judgment. Judgment of fate. The secret treasure of the Holy Church. Even if I can't use it, I can sell it. There are quite a lot of good stuff this time. Hurry up and stop. The wheel spins faster and faster. FFF Guild Fire Magic Barbecue Manual. Just the name alone seems to suit me. Hurry up and stop. Alright, I can no longer see the picture on it clearly. Every time I draw, this is the most depressing part. The treasures flow past my eyes, but the wheel doesn't stop. However, there was only one chance a month, and it was very unsatisfying to close his eyes and wait. Finally, after more than 10 unbearable seconds passed, and after a series of precious secret manuals flowed past, the cruel roulette finally stopped. Sunflower Manual, let Big Sister Dongfang teach you how to embroider. What is this? Even the needle technique of embroidery can become a secret manual? Even so, I still have a sliver of hope. Didn't they say that there are many experts and eccentric people since ancient times? Perhaps that tailor is also a legendary level expert. But very quickly, the cruel reality gives me a heavy blow. Didn't they say that I can cultivate without the root of desire? I am only left with bones. How can I cultivate? Chapter 4. Cause and effect, or rather, fate does exist. If there is no external influence, the apple will eventually fall to the ground, rot, and turn into seeds for the next year. If a farmer comes to harvest the apple, then it is a natural fate for the orchard and the apple itself, because the farmer is also a part of the orchard, and being harvested is the predetermined fate of the apple. However, if a foreign traveler passes by the orchard and conveniently takes the apple, then the apple will leave with the traveler, and the farmer won't be able to pick that apple. Everyone's fate will be changed because of the traveler's actions. And the traveler from another world is the traveler who casually walks by and changes the course of everyone's fate. His actions are not on the line of this world. His changes to the fate that should have been unchanging, in the end, created a chain of effects. Every debt has a debtor, and the karma and fate that follows is shouldered by the traveler. As for my system, it collects and converts them into evil/good points. Then, under my will, it uses a mechanism similar to a wishing spell to influence the world. Of course, this is only my own research. It may be correct, it may be wrong. But a coincidence, a game guidebook from another world made this conjecture more probable. The Great War of Purgatory is the name of this game. And this guidebook from the lottery system records the details of this classic game that has been in operation for 30 years. And the name of the continent I am currently in is Achi. The world we are in is just a game from another world? I am not surprised or shocked. There are precedents of parallel worldviews, dreamers who dream of another world, prophets who transcend the limits of time and space. This is common knowledge on the continent of Achi, and it is enough to explain all of this. As for Purgatory, 7 large-scale updates, it represents 7 upheavals of this world. In the 7 catastrophes, the continent became a living hell. And just when I was filled with confidence, thinking that I am a hero from another world and that I can change everything, I was shocked to find that after the 3rd update, Roland Mist is actually the name of the final boss. Demon Lord Roland Mist. He brought his demon army back from the abyss of hell. They swore to take revenge on all life. Endless armies of the dead and demons looted the entire continent. Countless lives were lost, and countless countries were destroyed. Roland Mist? Isn't that my name? I actually became the final boss that destroyed the world? Reality isn't a game. A demon king might not necessarily be defeated. Or rather, I, who was hailed as the child of radiance back then, would have any reason to become an evil and chaotic demon. However, all of this still happened. The deepest darkness of the Holy Church, the betrayal of those I trusted, and the royalty and nobles adding insult to injury caused me, a heroic holy knight, to gradually break away from my faith and enter the darkness. But since I knew the trajectory of that damned fate, as a transmigrator who was in control of my own fate, how could I allow all of this to happen? So, I did more things in an attempt to change fate. As a transmigrator who bore the power of karma, it was not difficult to change one's destiny, but to change the trajectory of the entire world was not so easy. After a series of coincidences, my efforts were in vain. I failed. The torrent of history, after easily crushing me, caused everything to return to its original point. The current me, after dying over and over again, lived on as a lich. Naturally, I was unable to become a demon king that attempted to destroy the world. However, it was a pity that my foolish twin brother, Cavendish Mist, took the place of my worthless older brother and did many shocking things. In the end, he stepped into the gates of hell alone. Perhaps it would not be long before I would have to face the demon king named Cavendish Mist. Thus, no matter what, I had to live on. Even if I had to carry this incomplete and damaged soul, I had to live until the day Cavendish returned. Thus, no matter what, I needed power. No matter which world that power came from, no matter if that power was righteous or righteous. This is the vow of I, Roland Mist, to clean up my own mess. Thus, even if I have to dirty my hands, even if I have to resort to unscrupulous means, I have to obtain enough evil points to revive myself, increase my power, and properly deal with that foolish brother of mine. Lord Lich, sorry to interrupt you. May I know if this has anything to do with the current situation? Before you get too excited, please return to reality and look behind you. Just as I was getting emotional, my companion beside me poured a bucket of cold water on me. I turned around to look. Those dark elf ladies were already closing in. Their eyes were bloodshot from not sleeping for the entire night. Their originally charming oval faces were twisted with hatred. Looking at their extremely hateful gazes, it seemed that this was not the time to be reasonable. "Don't run, you bastards. I will definitely tear you apart alive." Leave that bone to me, leave it to me. My dowry, after 30 years of hard work, it is all gone in one night. Momo, I have already bought kelp and chili. Tonight, I want to eat pork rib soup. The pork ribs in front, did you hear that? You are the main dish today. Stop right there, Momo. Looks like the hatred from yesterday's explosion was not small. I would be a fool not to run. Thus, I cast a levitation spell on myself and secretly increased my pace. This time, the stakes were rather high. If I were to be caught by the fully armed town security, even if I was left with only my bones and couldn't be torn apart, I would still be torn apart and fed to the dogs. However, I wasn't the only one being chased. BR brothers, why are they chasing you as well? Are you selling fake goods again? The BR brothers were famous for being unscrupulous merchants among the greedy goblins. As long as you paid, they would sell contraband goods, fake goods, and anything else. Furthermore, in order to save money and avoid taxes, they didn't even apply for a business license. Of course, such illegal merchants had at least been attacked by the town security many times. Through these confrontations, we had also forged a deep revolutionary friendship. Who knows what's going on with these women? It seems like some idiot has offended these crazy women. Since yesterday afternoon, they've been conducting a manhunt of the entire city, saying things like, for the sake of the law, strike down the criminals severely and swiftly, strike down illegal merchants and perverts, return Sulphur Mountain City to its beautiful blue sky. Pooey! Jinya BR, a master engineer, was the older brother. At this moment, his thick hair had been shaved off, and he seemed to be displeased that he had been caught in an undeserved calamity. In my vision, even though he didn't look impressive, it showed that he was already a LV-59 Goblin engineer, just a step away from LV-60 gold rank. These women are too incredible. A small town security is actually made up of Holy Temple Knight and Holy Sword Knight. Their equipment is also good. Putting aside the fact that they are covered in dwarven mithril heavy armor, coupled with the Dark Elves' innate ability to resist magic, they are already as hard as steel cans. Yet, the captains are all equipped with god equipment. With such equipment and formation, they are more than enough to participate in the war of gods and demons. Why are you town security? Ingo BR was the younger brother. His clothes were burnt, and in the process of being captured, his treasured alchemy tools were all destroyed. Right now, he was also extremely furious. A LV-57 great alchemist should be good at saving lives. However, those related to goblins were somewhat unreliable. At the very least, in my memory, Ingo's medicine would cause half of it to explode. As for the other half, it would explode even if you don't eat it. Just bear with it. The rumor of Sulphur Mountain City's 3,000 town security conquering the world isn't just a day or two. Cursed gold coins, their equipment wasn't so overpowered in the past. Just wait until I find out who it was that cut off my brother's escape route and sold them such amazing equipment for a small profit. I will definitely make sure that he can't survive in Sulphur Mountain City anymore. Who else? Other than the big orange-headed dwarf from the brothel, other than him, a blacksmith master who specializes in armor, who else can make this level of mithril heavy armor? When I have some free time, I will go and smash his shop. Who asked him to harm our brothers? Thus, I didn't say anything. If my comrades knew that I was the one who bought their sacred swords, that I was the middleman for selling their heavy armor, and that I was the one who let me off by enchanting their heavy armor, it would be impossible for us to be friends anymore. Old bull, what happened to you? Don't they usually not care about you? What happened? Did you commit a crime again recently? Beside me, there was a tall Tauren warrior. His square face had a silly smile and his honest eyes were filled with righteousness and confusion. It seemed like he still didn't know why he was being hunted down. I just asked them for some milk to drink. Their breasts are so big, so they must have quite a lot of milk. Isn't it normal for Taurens to drink milk? Isn't it normal for Taurens who love nature to be naked? Why are they chasing after me? Although his square face looked righteous and his honest voice carried the grievance of being wronged, he was still a pervert. Even though his face was filled with righteousness and confusion, he was still a pervert who loved to run around naked. At this moment, he was still completely naked. His muscular and wild body incited the screams of the women on the roadside. He, too, couldn't stop waving his arms to greet a certain object. The perverted bull demon king is out again. Mom. So scary. I can't get married anymore. Where? Let me see what size toothpick you are waving around so casually. Oh, as expected of a Tauren. It's not a toothpick but a mace. The Tauren in front, stop, let me try. The screams and mysterious voices behind him made him even more pleased. As he ran, he did all kinds of bodybuilding movements, causing all kinds of screams. Even though he was a monster, others might not know, but in my eyes, the Tauren Shueti was actually a level 89 legend-ranked great warrior. Even in Sulphur Mountain City, where experts were as common as the clouds, he could be considered one of the best. But no matter how strong he was still a pervert. Because it was very important, I had to say it twice. Damn it. They actually had silver arrows that had been blessed. Orlas's sacred emperor sword, angel-slaying sword, F***K, they actually have dozens of nameless evil swords. Even the luxurious Ottoman Empire wasn't as ridiculous as them. The one running at the front was Lilith Milan, known as the Prince of the Dark Night. She was famous throughout the city for being passionate but not promiscuous. She was the secret lover or dream lover of countless noble ladies in Sulphur Mountain City. However, even though she valued her elegance as much as her life, she was still in a sorry state. Even a level 72 gold-rank blood tribe swordsman could only be crushed in front of a bunch of iron cans. Yes, it's her, not him. People gave her nicknames: Crazy Wild Lily, Passionate Milan, Moving Obscenity, Female Pervert. Due to being suppressed by the town security, we formed the Free Gentleman Alliance, also known as the Perverted Alliance in the pugilistic world. The Naked Minotaur King, Moving Obscenity, and Explosive Maniac Brothers were our other nicknames. When our comrades were all caught in the Strike Hard and Fast according to the law, Strike Hard campaign, we, the stronger higher-ups of the Alliance, became the last survivors. Crazy Lich with water in his head. Even the weakest Lich is a legend rank. When we get back, we can use Great Disjunction to get rid of those women. If it was 300 years ago, I could still try. Now that my phylactery is damaged, my control over it has decreased. A Great Disjunction can be used, but it's not easy to control the target. I won't die, are you sure? Great Disjunction was the trump card of a top-notch mage. Legend has it that it could destroy anyone it caught. However, I had no love for conventional magic, and now that my phylactery was damaged, of course I couldn't use it. But even if I lost, I wouldn't back down. Tsk useless fool. As expected, when I mentioned the danger of losing control, they, who were afraid of death, wouldn't allow me to use it. However, if I were to continue being chased by the town security, my reputation as a good person would go down the drain. Thus, I took action. Oil spell. The instant cast of a one-circle arcane spell created a large layer of slippery oil in front of us. However, as a lich, it was basic to use magic to float. Thus, I floated over. What is the use of a one-circle arcane spell? The weakest of those fellows behind us is at least bronze rank. In the eyes of the displeased Golden Tooth, one-circle arcane spells were meaningless to any warrior with a bit of strength. However, this common sense only applied to normal mages. I was no normal mage. Bam! Just as he finished boasting, Golden Tooth fell to the ground. Then, his legs kept slipping, and he couldn't stand up no matter what. Golden Tooth, you are just good at talking. Look at me. That's not right, I'm so slippery. Right after that, his younger brother Ingo, who had just mocked his elder brother, followed in his footsteps. I can improve it. Not only did I improve it, I created it from scratch. A normal oil spell would only create a smooth grease made from animal fat. However, what I created was a lubricant for machinery from another world. Furthermore, I had also adjusted the friction of the road to ensure that there was zero friction. After my level was locked, I was unable to grasp higher rank spells. Naturally, I put in a lot of effort into improving my current spells. A slightly more experienced warrior would be able to disregard a normal oil spell. As for the new super oil spell, even though it was only a 2-circle arcane spell, even a gold rank warrior would have to be careful of it. However, my arrogance was immediately smacked in the face by the cruel reality. Ha! That bull actually used his hooves as a skateboard and slid over as though he was skiing. As he slid, he even winked at the town security. That seemingly cumbersome body of his actually had excellent balance. Not bad, the mad Lich's head isn't flooded with water even once in a while. As for the cunning female vampire, she jumped onto the back of the stupid cow and hitched a ride with it. Hurry up and leave. Seeing the town security approaching, we ignored the BR brothers, who were still rolling around in the oil, picking up the soap, and sped away. As expected, the group of dark elf night town security, wearing heavy armor, fell onto the oil one after another. Damn it, why is it so slippery? The Vice Captain Victoria, who was leading the group, stood up with difficulty. Just as she was about to complain, she slid down once more. Save me! The cries of the BR brothers could be heard. That oxhead was still planning to show off his muscles to save them, but Lilith pulled him along to run. Those fellows are wearing heavy armor, they won't be able to come over. I'm not worried about them. If they realize that they can't escape, you can't have forgotten what the BR brothers are carrying on their bodies, right? Oxhead's reaction was just slow, but he wasn't stupid. He slapped his head and continued running with his head lowered. Boom! The explosion behind us proved that our judgment was absolutely correct. Engineering and alchemy specialize in explosions. If we add the prefix Goblin Engineering in front of it, the chances of an explosion would increase by at least 10 times. Not to mention the BR brothers being driven into a corner, they were carrying too many random things on them. If they were to bump into them a few more times and fall a few more times, they might just explode. Bastard, catch those 2 idiots. They are running, hurry up and chase after them. Smoke lingered behind us. The oil created by the grease spell increased the intensity of the fire. However, judging from the curses behind us, such a small-scale explosion could only be considered as a small inconvenience to the mithril heavy armor knight. However, grease spell. Grease spell. Grease spell. Thus our backs were all smooth. Foolish elves, carry your heavy armor and slowly test your balance skills. Die! Following a shout, I realized that I was celebrating too early. The one who came from the corner of the street was the leader of the town security, Diana. The sacred sword in her hands, the Silver Avenger, was the one I sold to her previously. We hurriedly turned in another direction, only to see a group of dark elf knight rushing out from another corner of the street. The one leading them was the vice leader of the town security, Yawn. Damn it, it's a trap. The 3 of them converged, we were cornered. Bastard. I thought that you were really a good person, but in the end, all the dresses I just bought were ruined. And my snacks. My cosmetics. And Momo's Mimi. Isn't your Mimi always this small? No. It's my pet kitty Mimi. Also, my chest size is at least bigger than yours. I am a man. Don't you feel embarrassed comparing yourself to me? I'm sorry, little brother, you look too feminine. I really forgot that you are a man. The noisy dark elf knights surrounded us from 3 directions, ignoring the dark elf siblings who were quarreling among themselves. From the looks of it, they were rubbing their fists, ready to strike. This situation was also within my expectations. The most important thing now is, I did a somersault, dodging the slash coming from my back. Then, using a levitation spell, I forcefully rose a foot on the spot, dodging the pursuing rapier. Bastard, as expected, you are dragging us down again. How many times have you dragged us down this time? As expected, the ones behind me were the apologetic but merciless old cow and the scolding mad lady vampire. As expected, the most important thing now is to get rid of these two idiots who are used to betraying their comrade. They are much more cunning and difficult to deal with than these dark elves. After realizing that I was the one who caused them to be hunted down this time, they would definitely sell me out mercilessly. If I were to be captured and sent to prison, even if the dark elves don't mistreat prisoners, these fellow prisoners would still take good care of me. I definitely can't be captured. Under the encirclement of 2 of the top 10 warriors in Sulphur Mountain City, I dodged awkwardly. The knight by the side was also happy to see the dogs fighting each other. They had already moved their stools over to watch the show. Chance. However, how could these women understand the strong brotherhood that we had forged under oppression? With just a glance, we had already understood each other. Bullhead grabbed me, grabbed Lilith, and threw us out. Bastard. By the time the dark elf knight came to his senses, we had already escaped from the encirclement. The pitiful old cow, despite being the strongest, was pinned to the ground by a group of female knight due to his senseless principle of not hitting women. Old cow, I will remember your sacrifice. Lich, what did you do? Yesterday, they captured me and I blew up their barracks. Well done. I have wanted to do that for a long time. I chuckled, seemingly pleased with myself. Then, I casually pointed at her. Word of truth, freeze. Thus, under my sudden attack, the defenseless female vampire froze. Although my word of truth could only freeze her for a few seconds, it was enough. Her eyes were filled with confusion. She had already escaped, so why did they still want to frame her? But then, she came to a sudden realization. Wasn't this mad Lich Roland famous throughout the city for harming others without benefiting himself? Otherwise, as a Lich who was the embodiment of terror, why would he be given the title of brain-damaged? But with the arrival of the pursuers, Lilith Milan, who was pinned to the ground, no matter how angry and confused she was, all of it turned into empty words. After she was pinned down by the Dark Elf Knight, the expected system notification finally arrived. Daily Quest, Betrayal completed. Quest Objective, betray 3 comrades/friends/teammates who trusted you. The reward is determined according to the strength of the betrayer. Mission completion details. Jinya Br, Ingo Br, Lilith Milan. The 3 of them possess a combat prowess of gold rank and above. Their combined combat prowess far exceeds the host's current combat prowess. Mission completed perfectly. Reward: 10 evil points. As expected, it was worth it to frame you guys. Alright, the daily quest was completed and the reward was in my hands. Now, it was time for me to make my escape. Walking to a secluded corner, I put on a unique silver robe with golden threads and a faceless silver iron mask. I stood there quietly, waiting for the pursuers to arrive. Sorry, my lord. Turning around the corner, the town security, who were filled with indignation just a moment ago, turned into obedient little girls in front of me. Very quickly, when Diana and the others arrived, their arrogance disappeared. It was as though they had seen their superior. All of them were as quiet as cicadas in winter, not daring to speak. Finally, as the leader, she mustered her courage. Supreme Judge Lord Womians, why are you here? That's right, I, the Lich Roland Mist, had another identity. I was the highest law enforcer of this city, Supreme Judge Womians. I wasn't their superior, but the superior of their superior's superior's superior. Chapter 5. Lu Wang Mountain City is a good place. This is what the entire underground world acknowledges. To explain what kind of place Lu Wang Mountain City is, I have to first explain what kind of place the underground world is. The land of exile, this is probably the consensus of all the surface races. The underground world is a hollow area under the He continent. Its surface area is incalculable, and its terrain is so complicated that it is impossible to measure. It is said that there is a tunnel that leads straight to the abyss of hell. At first, there weren't many residents, but as the times changed, it became a gathering place for those who were exiled. The elves had exiled the dark elves, the dwarves had exiled the grey dwarves, the gnomes had exiled the wild gnomes, and nearly 40% of the beastmen had been driven here by other races. Even the powerful dragons had exiled the ferocious red dragons and the cunning black dragons. It was said that there were also volcano giants exiled by the Titans. The hegemons of the surface, humans, are no exception. Although they exiled their own kind, their composition is the most complex. Witches, heretics, cultists, wizards, necromancers, revolutionaries, demon worshippers, scientists. It seems that the underground world has become their trash heap. Time passed, and today, the underground world is so complex that it is impossible to calculate, but there is one point that is publicly acknowledged. Here there is no order, the fist is the biggest, the winner is the king and the loser is the slave. Even in the chaotic chaos faction, this place is the most chaotic. The underground world has been at war for many years, and the underground city lords have been attacking cities and territories non-stop. They pillage territories, steal food, attack cities, and turn the residents into slaves. Of course, the countries on the surface are similar, but due to the restraint of the Order God's Church and the Kingdom Parliament, peace is the main theme. However, the underground world, the abandoned land of the gods, has never stopped fighting. Those who are able to survive in the chaotic underground world, if placed on the surface, aren't weaklings. Well, using the game guide's explanation, the underground world is a high-level dangerous area opened in the middle of the game. Only players above level 40 are allowed to form parties to enter. Most of the underground cities, due to the complex composition of races, tend to be dominated by a certain race. But Lu Wang Mountain City is a little different. This mountain city, located by the Sulphur River, doesn't have a long history. At most, it is only 130 years old. In the eyes of the long-lived races, it is just a flash of light. But they have achieved something that the surrounding underground lords couldn't achieve for thousands of years. There were no wars, no nobles, no oppression. There wasn't even a ruling race here. City Lord Adam Han was once a very famous hero, but as a human, he was a lone city lord. Humans were considered a minority here, and this city didn't even have a ruling class of nobles. And this guy, who was jokingly called a head full of muscles, was even more famous for having no interest in power or territory. Unlike other underground cities, which often have over 10,000 soldiers, Sulphur Mountain City only has a few hundred honor guards and public security troops. The strongest military force is the City Law Enforcement Brigade, which is mainly made up of dark elves, or Town Security Brigade for short. However, their full strength is only 800 people. In the chaotic underground world, hoping for peace and weakness are synonymous. Being backed by the sulfur mine, Sulphur Mountain City's weak defensive capabilities naturally attracted the attacks of the other underground city lords. But after a few battles, there was no longer any need to look elsewhere. The reason? His fist was just hard enough. No army? Actually, there was no need. Ein Mises, the ancient red dragon with the reputation of Varen's calamity, lives in the sulfur mine behind Sulphur Mountain City. This evil dragon, who once destroyed numerous human empires, for some reason, became the guardian beast of this city. Adam Han was one of the most famous heroes of the current generation. He had once slain the undead Emperor Lord Yongye and saved the world. Even in the underground city, he had single-handedly destroyed an underground city of dark elves. There were 40 to 50,000 dark elves there, as well as several 100,000 other species. Adam Han himself was probably the most famous enemy of 10,000. Legend has it that Emperor Lord Yongye is the only semi-god undead emperor in the current era. Then, the one who defeated him, Adam, is naturally a semi-god. Thus, Adam is one of the strongest candidates of the current era. Great Saint Marguerite, with the honorary title Child of Heaven, the great saint who sealed Lord Yongye together with Adam. It is said that she can summon an entire angel army by herself. It is said that the underground lords who once attacked Sulphur Mountain City didn't even get to see the walls of Sulphur Mountain City before they were persuaded to retreat by a head. It is said that as long as the 3 heads of Sulphur Mountain City exist, Sulphur Mountain City is indestructible. In my system, these 3 fellows are LV 200-300 bosses with perfect models. Not to mention now, even after 3 to 4 expansion packs, they are still considered to be extremely powerful characters. They are far from what the surrounding LV 80-90 city lords who barely entered the legend rank can deal with. It is because of this powerful protection and the absence of an oppressive class that this place became a pure land in the chaotic underground world. Just military strength isn't enough. The great saint, as the administrator, manages this place in an orderly manner. As for the High Judge, Womians, yep, that's me, I single-handedly created the fairest and most just law in the entire He. As for the City Lord, Adam, most of the time, he just does what he does best, being an idle mascot. Coincidentally, I, who is familiar with the 3 heads, am also one of the founders of Sulphur Mountain City. When I was questioned by the town security, I didn't lie. I am a good employee with a proper job, the highest judge of Sulphur Mountain City. Although after dying 3 times, most of my memories have become scattered and scattered, memories can't be retrieved. Knowledge doesn't require many carriers, so most of it was left behind. My knowledge as a lawyer and judge in my previous life allowed me to be ahead of this era in terms of theory and experience. Thus, the law and legal system that I created for Sulphur Mountain City has become the model for the entire underground world. Even the surface world sends scholars to study it. Racial conflicts caused by the mixing of different races? I copied Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream and carved it on the city square and city gate. Everyone who enters and exits the city has to read it. This is just the first step. On the legal level, I made racial discrimination a heavy crime. Then, I borrowed a series of policies to deal with racial conflicts and used a few idiots as an example to others. At least on the surface, Sulphur Mountain City has achieved an unbelievable level of racial equality in the entire He continent. Being interested in sociology, I know that as long as a rule is recognized on the surface and runs for a long time, the people of the world will get used to its existence, and it will become a true law and morality. As an undying undead, what I don't lack the least is time and energy. Through many years of subtle influence, at least in Sulphur Mountain City, everyone has the same subconscious. A relatively harmonious relationship between the different races is the foundation of Sulphur Mountain City's prosperity. The next step is law and order. Murder, robbery, and other serious crimes? In other underground cities, one only needs to pay for killing someone. Many rich merchants and nobles don't even see other races as humans. But here, in this city where there are no nobles, there is no pardon for the death penalty. Thus, under the heavy punishment, law and order have effectively improved. Of course, necessary violence can't be avoided. A strange dark elf knight order that was chased out of their hometown due to their belief in the holy light became the best foundation for law and order. As for me, I have also invested a large amount of resources into it, turning it into the trusted guards of the citizens. Although sometimes I regret it, due to the town's security being too well equipped and powerful, my daily missions have become more and more difficult and the frequency of me being locked up has also increased. Cough cough, let's not talk about how I shot myself in the foot. Let's continue talking about this new era underground city that is the culmination of a transcender's blood and sweat. The most troublesome religious conflict in other regions? It is indeed difficult to deal with the other cities, because in the He continent where true gods exist, their rulers are usually believers of a certain god. After prejudging their stance, how can they maintain fairness? If one side oppresses the other, naturally, there will be endless conflict. And in this city, of the three heads, Red Dragon Ein Mises believes in dollar, City Lord Adamhan is a famous non-believer, and Lord Saint believes in knowledge, and Adam, yep, that's right, Lord Saint has been secretly in love with Lord Hero for a very long time, to the point where everyone knows about it, to the point where even Little Red and I can't stand it anymore. That's why we caused 2 huge weddings. Of course, I don't deny that I have my own selfish motive. Other than the evil points that cause a huge mess, seeing Adam's stupid face that is on the verge of tears is what makes me the happiest. Alright, I went off topic again. Let's continue talking about our underground city. The beliefs of the three heads aren't reliable, and if I were to forcefully say that I do have a belief, it would be something along the lines of let the sinners get what they deserve, or let the innocent receive the protection of the law in my previous world. Thus, I set up an unimaginable freedom of belief in Sulphur Mountain City. Freedom of belief is the will of the individual. Preaching is allowed in the city, but no religious organization is allowed to use force to force people to believe in their religion. Those who disobey will be banished from Sulphur Mountain City. There are believers of demons, holy light, Mother Earth, there are all kinds of altars and temples, but as long as they use the name of belief to oppress others, they will be punished severely. While the other underground cities are prone to scheming against each other, political power struggles, endless battles of belief between churches, and the plundering of the weak by the strong, our Sulphur Mountain City's rule is extremely stable. The laws are perfect, and the administrative efficiency is high. It is peaceful and orderly, attracting countless citizens and merchants, making it even more prosperous. Naturally, it became the so-called underground paradise. Actually, it doesn't mean that this place is really good. It is just that the other underground cities are too chaotic, making this place look better. As the symbol of chaos, the underground city and the underground world continuously allow resources and talents to flow into our city. Thus, Sulphur Mountain City became even more prosperous. In fact, even the Holy Church on the surface was astonished at how peaceful this chaotic land was. They sent out holy knights and priests to learn from this place. Some holy knights were astonished by the coexistence of so many different species, and some were even willing to stay here permanently to study the Holy Light's blessing tome, while spreading the Holy Light's radiance to reform the evil underground residents. As a Lich, I hated these holy knight and priests the most. Sometimes, I even wanted to take off my mask and tell them that the treasured Book of Order, that you see as the treasured Book of Holy Light, was personally created by an evil and chaotic Lich. Would their faith collapse because of this? At this moment, when I was being captured, this body of skin became my best shield. No one would have expected that the just and honest Supreme Judge Womians, who would never make a mistake, was actually the same person as the Lich Roland, who always caused trouble, and was even thought to have water in his head. When I was appointed as the head of the Supreme Court, I insisted on wearing my mask no matter what because due to the existence of this unreliable evil Lich system, I was destined to be unable to maintain my prestige. As the judge who wields the balance, prestige and authority are the most important. A codex without authority and fear is just a useless piece of paper. At this moment, the prestige accumulated over the years came into effect. Now, I am standing here without saying a word. Under the many years of prestige, the town security doesn't dare to check whether I am real or fake. Even their legs and stomachs are trembling. I turn around and look at the successful captain, Diana Sphinx. Lord. Not bad, her voice is trembling too. As expected, she is feeling guilty. I am their superior, but it is definitely not just because my official rank is higher than theirs. They are members of the Town Security Enforcer Team, and the Town Security Enforcer Team is a subsidiary of the Hall of Law Enforcement, and the Hall of Law Enforcement is a subsidiary of the Supreme Court. As for me, Womians, I am the highest judge come the head of the Supreme Court. In the codex that I created, the town security enforcer team, as a lower-level law enforcement agency, doesn't have independent law enforcement powers. They can only listen to the commands of the higher authorities. If they want to carry out a large-scale law enforcement operation like strike down, they have to report it to the Hall of Law Enforcement, and the Hall of Law Enforcement has to at least report it to the Supreme Court. And I, as the head of the Supreme Court, have yet to receive the documents to report it. Overstepping my authority? Of course it is overstepping my authority. I blew up the town security's base yesterday and started the strike down today. How would I have the time to report and get approval? Even if I wanted to report it, I would have to sort out the documents from the rubble first. This is a huge project. I seem to be muttering to myself, but Diana's face pales in an instant. No matter how beautiful the rhetoric is, the power of law enforcement is the violent action of public authority, and the law enforcers are the violent tools of the ruler. If this tool has a brain and acts recklessly, then it is time for this tool to be scrapped. This is my famous saying, and it is also the warning on the first page of every town security member's work manual. I reckon that they are intending to launch a surprise attack first, and then follow up the procedures afterwards. In the past, the Hall of Law Enforcement and the Supreme Court would turn a blind eye to it. But unfortunately, they didn't expect my sudden appearance to be caught red-handed by my superior. I just stare at them quietly. The originally dark elves' faces have turned so pale that they can be compared to the undead in terms of beauty. Overstepping my authority? No matter what the consequences are or what the reason is, the act of the town security enforcers acting on their own is extremely vile. Today, you can overstep your authority to strike down the town security, but tomorrow, can you overstep your authority to besiege the city lord's residence? Based on the laws of Sulphur Mountain City, the cheapest outcome for these fellows who overstep their authority is to be banished from Sulphur Mountain City. The Dark Elves are in a desperate situation. If it were any other officer, they might be able to bend the rules and punish them after the incident. But the person in front of me is the miracle creator who turned the illusory codex of justice into a tangible power like holy light. He himself is the symbol of the codex of justice, but I have never heard of him going easy on them. City Defense Team Captain Diana's face is filled with bitterness, but it is time for her to stand up. After working so hard for so long, the evil, dark elves finally received the recognition of the citizens. Is it all going to go down the drain? After leaving the city, I have to go outside to live a bloody life. How am I going to explain this to my sisters who trusted me? The young lady's red lips are already bleeding from her biting and her purple eyes are filled with tears. Thinking of the days of fighting outside and the fact that she and her tribe are about to be banished from the happy home and good days that they finally found, the beautiful face of the dark elf contorts in pain. Lord, it is all my personal decision. If you want to punish me, please punish me alone. The strong town security team captain throws away her dignity and kneels down to plead for mercy. Big Sister Diana. It isn't Big Sister's fault. We are doing this for the safety of Sulphur Mountain City. That's right. What right do you have to punish us? Surrounding their team captain, the surrounding town security knight is agitated. Some of them are already glaring angrily at me, as though they are about to rebel or riot. Thus, incantation of law, silence. Following my words, an inexplicable magic comes into effect. In the void, a silver gavel falls and the entire land trembles. As the silver ripples spread, not only does all of the voices disappear, the raging emotions of the crowd also vanish into thin air. In this mystical world, when the belief in the concepts of order and holy light can become the source of power, how can the belief in the codex of law and justice lack the support of supernatural powers? Although, when I was in the midst of the trial, when the fourth soul imprint of justice was formed, the one who was the most shocked is probably me. Without a doubt, this means that the codex of law that I single-handedly created has been recognized by the origin of this world, becoming a part of the power of order. Laws are power, words exist, and the rules of this world are laws. We are in control of the rules and the codex of law. My words are the rules of this world. This is the incantation of law. A unique creation of the incantation of law and magic. Although it is derived from the mage's incantation of truth and the priest's divine arts of discipline, as long as the conditions for its usage are met, its might is much greater. At this moment I am adjudicating a case. These town security are the defendants and this narrow alley is my court. When I say silence, all living beings must silence and listen to my incantation of law. The dark elves' innate magic resistance is meaningless in front of my incantation of law. No one can understand their words. It is as though their body and mind are immersed in ice water, sending chills down their spines. They calm down in an instant. Only then do they remember that the person in front of them is not only the supreme judge, but also an archmage with unfathomable powers. The incantation of law that he created by combining magic and law has become a unique type of law-based magic. Its fame has spread far and wide, even attracting the archbishops and sages of the surface to learn it. The Supreme Court has also become a holy land where only gold-ranked experts can learn the secrets of the incantation of law. He created the 3 advanced jobs of Justice Knight, Judge and Incantation of Law. They are comparable to the Holy Light Knight, red-robed archbishops and ascetics that the Holy Church is so proud of. How scary! My magic-resistant skin is disregarded. I am unable to analyze his magic level, and I can't even feel any magic ripples, but he is at least saint level. In their eyes, disobeying the order is equivalent to challenging the authority of the entire Sulphur Mountain City. Even if they were to escape, they might not be able to escape from the hands of the Supreme Judge. In front of the Dark Elves seems to be a hopeless situation where they will be exiled. In front of a hopeless situation, everyone lowers their heads, waiting for me to decide. Lord, seeing that I have served Sulphur Mountain City for so many years, please only punish me. With a sobbing tone, Diana kneels down. With a respectable female knight kneeling, how can the other knight remain standing? Thus, a bunch of them kneels down in front of me. Looking at this scene of sisterly love, even I am a little moved. Actually, the town security team leader Diana is also a LV-81 legend-ranked Great Knight. Her strength is definitely above the current me. The reason why she is so pathetic, other than her guilty conscience, is also due to the effects of the god equipment. This silver robe was enchanted by me when I was at my peak. Originally, it was meant to be used to scare people. Later on, when I became a judge, I used it to pressure criminals. After comprehending the law incantation, the excellent grade robe that I was wearing back then somehow became a semi-god equipment. Semi-god equipment. Dignity of justice, bound defense. 10 points, even steel armor only has 5 points of defense. For a cloth armor robe to be able to reach this level of defense is already ridiculous. Special Effect 1, Self-Judgment of a Sinner, causes the sinner to feel guilty and guilty. As time passes, the sinner will fall into a state of fear and helplessness. The heavier the crime and the more guilt one feels, the better the effect. Those who are innocent will ignore this effect. Special Effect 2, Iron Mask of the Judge. The wearer's charm is fixed at 100. Resistance to charm, detection, and illusory spells plus 20. Special Effect 3, the wearer's conditions are insufficient to activate it. Special Effect 4, the wearer's strength is insufficient to activate it. Weight of the god equipment, Cursed Gavel. The wearer must possess the identity of a judge and a law enforcer to carry out their duties impartially. If they were to break the law due to personal reasons and speak nonsense, the robe will turn into an inextinguishable god flame, destroying the wearer's soul and physical body. Please use the authority in your hands cautiously. The moment the gavel falls, it doesn't just decide the rise and fall of an individual, but also the dignity of justice and justice. Womians of the Supreme Court. In the He continent, equipment of semi-god equipment and above are so troublesome. They have a single but powerful effect, but they also come with troublesome god equipment curses. This robe is just like that. Normal robes don't have the slightest increase in magic effects or intelligence, but it comes with a few extremely powerful effects. The first effect saves me a lot of trouble during the trial. No matter if it is a serial killer or an underworld tycoon, as long as they still have a shred of conscience in front of me, they are just like a little chicken that huddles up into a ball. The second effect is the same as directly ignoring the investigation of my true identity. As for the god equipment curses that prevent me from breaking the law and being unable to lie, it isn't a big deal to me. Firstly, I am a single person, so how can I break the law due to personal reasons? Taking a step back, if I want to lie, a word game is enough. A lie that can be exposed at any moment would instead fall into the lower class. I never lie, but that doesn't mean that you can understand the true meaning of my words. Don't blame me if you misunderstand it. Even though the semi-god equipment curses are ineffective against me, the might of the curse is still there. Now, the law enforcers who believe in the holy light are overstepping their authority. Under the might of the semi-god equipment, the guilt in their hearts turns into invisible chains and heavy burdens, causing them to be unable to stand up straight. I reckon that just by standing there, the pressure that I am giving them is no less than a dragon's might. Furthermore, the pressure will increase as the trial progresses. However, if I were to continue pressuring them now, I might end up seeing the girls peeing their pants on the street. That should be enough. If I really push them too far, even a dog will jump over a wall. I don't intend to chase them out of the city. Thus, I turn around and leave behind a sentence. I am just passing by on the way and didn't see anything. Tomorrow, get your captain to come and settle the paperwork. The moment I finish my sentence, cries of joy and thanks come from behind me. Thank you, Lord. The moment I turn around the corner, the elves have already collapsed onto the ground. Some of them are already hugging each other and crying, celebrating the fact that we have survived the crisis. However, under my mask, I am smiling. Lord Womians might look scary, but he is actually a good person. It was so scary just now. Momo feels like she is about to suffocate. Big Sister Anna let Momo lean on her. Darn lass, don't touch her. You are so perverted. Go and look for that Lilith Milan. The listening device that I left behind. Cough, the mischievous wind brought their discussions to my ears. Listening to the complaints of my subordinates seriously is the responsibility of a superior. I don't know who is saying bad things about me. What if I get the wrong person? This lass is called Daisy, right? She really knows how to talk. Of course, I am a good person. Thus, my mood becomes much better and I decide to lighten the punishment. However, I immediately know that my mood will worsen. That is because, at the corner of the street, my loyal maid Eliza has been waiting for a long time. Master, have you changed your mind? You actually let them off? The law is dead, but humans are alive. Laws that are not flexible or humane will cause the heavens to be angry and the people to resent them sooner or later. Their actions and motives are innocent. It is just that their procedure is illegal. Banishing them would be too much. Watch how I deal with them properly. I will raise my killing mace up high and then lightly drop it down. This is the way of a superior. Learn more. Truth? I twist my mouth in disdain. The venomous-tongued maid, my number one loyal lackey, ignores my pleasantries and smugness once again. It's so boring to play them to death in one go. Haha, what a great harvest today. Not only did I succeed in my daily mission, I even managed to obtain the town security's weakness and a favor. Heh, little lass, watch how I deal with you tomorrow. You actually dare to steal the food that I, Bao, am eating. Of course, I remember that lass named Diana, the evil woman who stole Bao's bone from my hands. Tomorrow, when you report to the Supreme Court, I will let you know what it means for a superior to make things difficult for you, what it means for non-violent sexual harassment, what it means for the office to be miserable. Chase you out of the city? A dark elf holy knight who worships the holy light is probably the only one in the entire underground world. If so, wouldn't I lose a hard-to-come-by toy and a useful tool? Eliza sighs helplessly. As expected, I really can't have any hope in your conscience. You're really evil. No, I am a good person. One day, I will turn my evil points into justice points. Then, I will work hard to do good deeds. That way, I can have a good reputation. From a certain standpoint, this is also because of that messed up system of mine. To earn evil points, I must do bad deeds. But how can I have a good reputation by doing bad deeds? I even have to wear an iron mask at work. Forget about that, I really can't stand it. It's all because of that darned mask and robe. It's actually a god equipment set. When beautiful women see me, they are either scared half to death or scared to the point of peeing. It's all because of this that I still don't have a girlfriend even at my age. No, what's wrong isn't the mask and dressing but your brain. An undead lich looking for a girlfriend? Hee, I really can't laugh at this joke. Right, I heard that when you were still a human, you were also a bachelor. Although reality is cruel, Master, please don't run away from it. Humph, I'm not afraid of scaring you. There is still a girl who said that she wants to marry me. Which necrophilia has such a heavy taste. No, I understand, it must be an immature loli, agreeing to marry just by giving her a candy. But, to be so unpopular that he has to lie to a loli to satisfy his pride, isn't that a little too pitiful? Ayaya, Master, why does your face look so terrible? Could it be that Eliza guessed correctly again? Bastard Eliza. I want to be a good person too. I want a girlfriend too. This time, the citizens of Sulphur Mountain City were fortunate to see the head of their Supreme Court running away in tears. Chapter 6. Lord, we half-goat people have been shepherding sheep for generations. That day we finally found a fertile pasture, and just as we loosened the reins of our babies, these demons came. That's right, they stole our treasures and even tried to rob us. Look, they even said that they are law enforcers. How can there be such bandit-like law enforcers in the world? In front of us is a bunch of indignant half-goat people. These short half-beastmen are famous for their sharp tongues and craftiness. At this moment, their cheeks are filled with tears and their expressions are filled with indignation, as though they have been wronged by the heavens. Lord, you have to seek justice for us. All of our belongings have been stolen by these demons. That's right, my pitiful little Charles. He was only 2 months old and hasn't even weaned yet, but he was brought away from his mother's place by these demons. How can he still live like this? The northern one blows, the snowflakes float, my little lamb is still so small, but these heartless wolves came to our house. There are many people bemoaning the state of the universe in court, but it is rare to see them crying and singing. As expected of the artistic half-goat people, they are already planning to sing. I was moved. After watching for a long time, I realized that the standard isn't that high, repeating the same 2 lines over and over again. Thus, I lost interest, yawned, and gave my verdict. The law enforcers did not violate the law. After the Camuxin half-goat tribe pays the fine, they can take back the lamb that they seized. The second trial is final, and no appeal is allowed. Lord! Injustice! The town security vice-captain Yawn, who was at the defendant's stand, heaved a sigh of relief, but the plaintiff's stand was filled with tears and screams. However, I remained unmoved. Bailiff, take them away. Next. Corrupt officials run amok, justice is unfair. As expected, foolish officials protect evil officials. Sigh, it's like this every time. But being called a foolish official to my face, I am a little displeased. Maliciously attacking a judge, fine of 10 gold coins. Also, the next time you graze on the city's green lawns, I will confiscate your sheep. Yes, they do have the right to graze, but grazing on Sulphur Mountain City's greenbelt has already turned from a personal freedom into a crime of damaging public property. Over the past 6 months, the cost of repairing the damaged lawns and gardens would cost hundreds of thousands of gold coins, and what they gained was probably only a few hundred gold coins of grass cost. This time, the half-goat was an expert at distorting the truth. Now, he was actually accusing the town's security of maliciously enforcing the law. Did he think that I was an idiot? Oh right, the one who called me a stupid official just now, go to the community and accept 2 months of free labor. Who was still talking nonsense. Just like him. In the future, go to the fields to buy fodder or go out of the city to graze. If you continue to graze like that, your entire tribe will be banished from Sulphur Mountain City. To the cunning and lazy half-goat people, herding their sheep while they slept on the side was already the most tiring work they could do. Making them work like the other races was already torture. Making them, who were greedy and selfish, work for others for free was definitely worse than a death sentence. Those who talked too much were severely punished. In an instant, the crying stopped and the singing stopped as well. They consciously lined up and left the stage. So, I nodded in satisfaction. Next. Then, looking at the case, staring at the smiling defendant in front of me, I frowned. No wonder the lower judge threw this case to me. This case was really hard to judge. Defendant Beifong Draken Hunter. Crimes. Abduction and sex crimes. The evidence of this fellow's crimes was clear and he admitted to it, but when it came to judging the case, it was really a headache. Although his methods were dirty, the hunter Beifong fulfilled the hunter's dream and successfully captured a drool as his pet. But after he succeeded, he molested his pet in public multiple times. Sometimes it was a bear, sometimes it was a leopard, sometimes it was a bird, and even when it wasn't in human form. Also, that drool was even a male, and Beifong himself was also a male. Too filthy. Too disgusting, it severely affected the social atmosphere of the entire Sulphur Mountain City. I strongly request for this bestiality and homosexual to be executed to rectify the social atmosphere of Sulphur Mountain City. The goblin prosecutor spoke passionately on the plaintiff's stand. This case had been appealed to many levels, and now, it had reached the final juncture before the highest judge. We have to take note of the defendant's identity as a draken. In their eyes, walking with beasts is a tradition, and it is natural. Tolerating the traditions of other races is a tradition that the citizens of Sulphur Mountain City have always been proud of. Furthermore, no crime without a written rule is the most basic principle of our code. In our code, is it forbidden to have sex with beasts and the same sex? Since it isn't forbidden, then it isn't a crime, so it can't be judged as a crime, and even more so, it can't be punished. Based on his understanding of the law, the elf defense officer Crows once again gained the upper hand. Although, his gaze towards his own defense officer was filled with disdain and disdain. In the eyes of the nature-worshipping elves, a pervert like the hunter Beifong should have died 1,000 times. But now that he was in court, he couldn't neglect his duty as a defense officer just because of his own preferences. Just like what Crows said, due to the lack of a written rule, the prosecution couldn't even confirm the crime, so how could they determine the final punishment? Which law would prescribe such a disgusting crime as bestiality? If such a bastard isn't guilty, then how can we uphold the dignity and justice of the law? Hearing that, the goblin prosecutor Rove Goldcoin flew into a rage. Even though his expression couldn't be seen due to the silver metal mask he was wearing, but from the furious tone of his voice and the bulging veins under the mask, it could be seen that he was infuriated. That's right, for this case, he had spent a lot of effort and tried it twice. In the end, it was brought before the highest judge, and it wasn't to let this pervert escape the punishment of the law. I looked at the pervert with the lizard head, and he looked back at me. His expression was calm, without the restraint and unease that a defendant should have. Furthermore, my semi-god robe was still in effect. Hunter Beifong was so calm under the might of the god equipment, which means that he didn't think that he was in the wrong. He didn't feel guilty at all, and the god equipment was ineffective. Different values? No, other Drakens aren't as perverted as him. He should have known about the law or been informed of it, so we can't judge him guilty here. As expected, there are always interesting crimes in another world. How interesting. Can I go back now? My pets are still waiting for me to feed them. I chuckled, and the Draken also laughed foolishly. To me, this seemingly calm expression and laughter was actually quite an interesting provocation. Dong. The gavel fell, and I made my verdict. Not guilty. Release him on the spot. Since there is such a loophole in the law that I set, I admit defeat this round. Hearing that, Beifong smiled honestly, and his smile was filled with glee. As expected, the law in Sulphur Mountain City is the fairest. But, Prosecutor Rove, you should have known that since the law doesn't state that he is guilty, we can't possibly bend the law to convict him. Of course, Rove. It was because he knew that he was so angry. Letting a criminal go scot-free was a complete mockery of the highest court and the law itself. But, my lord, have you prepared for the legislative meeting in the Hall of Law next week? Oh, I understand now. I suddenly asked about something unimportant. Luo Wei was stunned at first, but then he came to a realization and his face lit up. Our Supreme Court is not just a judicial institution. The Law King's Office, one of the 4 subordinate courts, is responsible for drafting new laws. The Supreme Court, in addition to being the final judge, also has the power to legislate and interpret laws. Since this young friend Heralt has helped us find a loophole in the law, let's patch it up. Crows, when the new law is passed, send a few great stalkers to chat with this little friend. Let him come back soon so that we can thank him. None of these words escaped Beifeng's ears. At this moment, his face was ashen, as if he could already imagine the day when he would be captured again. As for never doing such a disgusting, evil thing again? From the very beginning, it wasn't in his list of choices since he viewed walking with beasts as his greatest hobby. Hearing that, even the victorious defense official Crows was overjoyed. Yes, my lord. I will do it immediately. The disgusting, unnatural behavior of walking with beasts should be severely punished. If it is done in public, he will be punished even more severely. Right, remember to add in the ban on abusing pet. For such behavior, he should be stripped of his right to raise a pet. Let's stop these perverted actions from the other side as a double insurance. As an honorary member of Sulphur Mountain City's Pet Lovers Association, how can I allow such a person to continue bullying cute little animals? I should just strip him of his right to raise a pet. Finally, Beifong started crying. If he were to choose to stay in Sulphur Mountain City, then his hobby of walking with beasts would be banned. Thus, under my control, the dignity of the law was upheld. If that fellow were to turn over a new leaf? Putting aside the fact that I personally think that it would be hard for him to change his sexual habits, if he were to turn over a new leaf, wouldn't it be a good thing? Next. Although these cases were tedious and boring, isn't that what work is all about? Boring and uninteresting, but sometimes it was meaningful and meaningful. Chapter 7. Ochre, half-elf, half-beastman, bronze-ranked professional assassin. He has taken countless lives and is especially fond of hunting young children. While carrying out a mission in Sulphur Mountain City, he was captured by the Dark Elf Town security and sentenced by Sulphur Mountain City's court to 376 years of imprisonment without bail. TSK. As I looked at the information, I clicked my tongue in wonder at the half-elf assassin in the cage. Half-beastmen were rare creatures, and a half-blood half-elf was the mortal enemy of beastmen. That was even rarer. Lich? Wait, don't kill me and don't experiment on me. You must have a lot of enemies, right? I can help you kill them for free. When Ochre realized that he was sent to the Lich, He was first shocked because even the weakest Lich was a legend rank mage. But after that, he felt relieved because a Lich who also belonged to the Chaos faction was at least easier to deal with than the righteous judge and the brainless holy knight. Those hypocrites from the Order faction never knew how wonderful it was to make deals and compromises. But at this moment, I stared at him with a smile that didn't seem like a smile. I didn't bring him over from Sulphur Mountain City prison just to find a helper. A bone-like finger was placed on the gnome's forehead. Even if it was a heinous and perverted killer, the warmth of a living creature's body still made people care for it. However, the other party's expression did not look too good. Perhaps it was because he remembered the legend of the Liches playing with souls and corpses. Under the cold touch of the white bones, his face became even paler. How interesting. I originally thought that you were just an ordinary murderer, but you're actually a hidden blood sacrificer, a filthy demon worshipper. You used the lives of young children to make a deal with the devils of the nine hells in exchange for your own lifespan and power. As expected, as I spoke, the memories hidden in his subconscious became clearer. The dirty memories became clearer, and what followed after that was the memories that made him even more terrified. Tell me, interesting little fellow, what is your greatest fear? The human brain was very interesting. The more you tried not to think about something, the more your subconscious mind would think about it. The fourth ring arcana technique, memory read, wasn't a very profound technique, and it wasn't a very useful ability. The more secretive something was, the deeper it was hidden in one's mind. Memory read, on the other hand, could only see the top layer. But I have my own unique secret method. Ask you, what secrets are you hiding? Then, that person will often subconsciously think about what he has to hide. At that moment, the secret will surface, and my memory reading spell will reveal the contents of his thoughts. What you're most afraid of is actually revealing your true identity. Interesting? What is your true identity? Chrome City's spy? How interesting! Under the chain of questioning, his hidden motive was naturally clear. His luck today was quite good. Initially, he had only wanted to swap out 2 prisoners to farm for evil points. However, after probing him a little, he discovered that he was actually a spy sent from another city. The underground city, Kulanstanbul, is probably the closest underground city to Sulphur Mountain City. However, compared to the prosperous Sulphur Mountain City, its population and area is much smaller. The underground city was dominated by orcs and grey dwarves. The city lord was a foolish orc who believed in the god of tyrants, Bane. The mining industry was quite developed, but other industries were not doing well. This spy was hired by the other party in Chrome City. His mission was to collect the simplest information. At most, it could only be considered a part-time job, but it was enough to show that Chrome City was up to something. Eliza? As expected, the elusive head maid appeared behind me in the next second. Interrogate him seriously and squeeze out all of his secret. Then, give a copy to Marguerite. Tell her that if she doesn't care, I will throw him to Adam. In my memory, catching a spy equals secrets hidden in the gutter equals ambition of a big shot equals a whole bunch of trouble. It was equivalent to a volunteer without money. I didn't want to care about such a troublesome matter. Since I met him, I would throw him to someone who might be interested. The great saint in charge of internal affairs, Marguerite, would follow the clues and uncover the truth bit by bit. As for this prisoner, before he was sent to me, he had already stated that his crime was unforgivable. Since he was already here, he wouldn't be leaving. Bang! Following 2 loud bangs, the entire old residence shook slightly. After that, dust fell from the ceiling and spread throughout the underground prison. The prisoners choked and coughed. Even my bones were covered with a layer of dust. However, Eliza was prepared beforehand and used a handkerchief to seal her mouth. Looks like Abao can't wait any longer. This earthquake was my adorable Abao. As it was past his usual stroll time and his master hadn't appeared yet, he used the method of jumping to rush me. Thus, irresponsibly, I threw all the work to Eliza. My working hours ended here and now. It was time for me to take a stroll with Abao. Or rather, it was time for me to be dragged around by the gigantic two-headed Cerberus. Just like other stupid dogs, the moment he left the house, Abao forgot about his master and ran around crazily. On the other hand, I, who was wearing the reins, didn't even add up to 15 kilograms and my strength wasn't more than 5. Naturally, I was dragged around by the gigantic beast that weighed tens of tons. Of course, at this moment, after suffering a few setbacks, I would cast a levitation spell on myself and tie the reins to the sturdiest rib to become a qualified kite. This stroll gave me an unexpected reward. The bone flag is raised and the big dog is coming. Everyone, hurry up and pack up. Town security? Hurry up and call the town security. Everyone, work hard. Form a defensive line and guard the butcher shop to the death. Don't even think of stealing my fresh ribs today. All right, being dragged high up in the air, I became Abao's symbol. In order to avoid getting caught up in the barrage of the stupid dog, the stalls and vendors that were 2 blocks away started to pack up and make way for me. Go to the undead district at the east of the city. That place doesn't belong to the town security. Hearing these words, I quickly gave the order and pulled the reins hard to make Abao turn around. In the past, Abao's stroll would at most cause traffic chaos and he didn't hurt anyone. Skeleton soldiers don't count as people. In the past, the town security had to deal with more serious criminal cases. By the time they arrived, it was about time for me to finish my stroll and return. But now, as the only survivor of the Gentleman Alliance, when our alliance wasn't causing trouble for them, I definitely wouldn't underestimate their speed and determination to get rid of us once and for all. Woof! Under my command, Abao kicked away the Tauren blocking the way and used his big butt to sit on the barricade blocking the way. Then, he ran towards the east of the city. Stop right there. Stop right there for Momo. It's all your fault that Momo peed her pants in front of Lord Womian's yesterday. All right, I underestimated the other party's determination to take me down. The town security actually set up an ambush, but jump Abao. The gigantic hell-hound leaped over the barricade in front of him. The town security following behind him helplessly stopped in their track. A 6-meter-tall skeletal giant stood in front of them, using the Diamond City Gate as a shield. There wasn't a hint of emotion in his empty eye sockets, but no one dared to take a step forward. This was the undead district at the east of the city, and it wasn't under the jurisdiction of the town security. If they wanted to go in to enforce the law, they would have to file a report and go through the procedures. If they were to really go through the complicated procedures, this Lich would have long disappeared. As for me, I also arrived at my destination for the day. I sent Abao off and let him go find food, play. Then, I greeted every single undead in front of me. Hey, long time no see. Everyone, did you miss me? Big guy, your rotten flesh is even more smelly now. Little Bones, your skull is really shiny. Which brand of polishing agent are you using? Uncle Akka, your bones are rusty. Why don't you try the new lubricant that I invented? It's completely natural, harmless, and has no side effects. But in front of me, the undead who were jumping around excitedly a moment ago saw me. First they were stunned, then, run! That lunatic is here again. Scared the hell out of me. It was so heartbreaking that they scattered like birds and beasts. The skeleton giant carried his battle axe and leaped over the house. The headless knight carried his own head away like a swarm of bees. Even the pitiful skeleton warrior rolled away and ran away. The scene in front of me was really heartbreaking. Hey, is this how you welcome your kin? Didn't I just use you guys to experiment on my new undead magic, to do daily torture, to test the might of the holy sword? The more I spoke, the less confident I became. Then, a familiar voice sounded behind me. Your Highness, since you have already given your reason, I won't waste my breath. Did you come here because it's almost time for us to go to war? No, I'm a pacifist. I hate things like war the most. However, the appointed time is almost here. Is our army ready? Of course, Your Highness. Your army, be it 376 years ago or 250 years ago. Or was it 130 years ago when you were disappointed? The Red Hunting Hounds have 24,662 defeated soldiers, sharpening their fangs in peace, waiting to be deployed at any time. We can't wait to return to the battlefield. The deep voice was filled with fighting spirit. My general was as reliable as before. Are you here today to review the army or to watch the new plague experiment? Our alchemists have invented a brand new war weapon. At the same time, it possesses high destructive power. No, I already said that I'm a pacifist. There's no meaning in fighting and killing. Today, I am here to watch the preparations for this matter. Are you talking about that stupid, no, that important matter? It has been prepared and can be activated at any time. I nodded my head in satisfaction. Turning around, I didn't see anyone. Woof woof, below. Woof woof, below, Your Highness. Are you doing this on purpose? Is it fun to tease me? After all, I am one of your strongest generals. Looking down, it was indeed my cute Xiao Bei. He was instinctively chasing his own tail in circles. He was Ah Bao's older brother, one of my most trusted generals in the past. But now, he was a cute little skeleton dog. I am not Xiao Bei. I am Batet, the demonic void dog Batet. Yes, Ah Bei. Batet. I am your general, the vice-commander of your invincible army. All right, Xiao Bei. You don't have to emphasize it. I have always thought that you are amazing. Most importantly, you are very cute. As expected, pets are man's best friends and naughty children are the worst enemies. Hearing my tone as though I was coaxing a disobedient child, and my increasingly unreliable declaration, Xiao Bei lowered his tail and brows. He covered his face and lay down. He knew that as long as his master fell into such a state of madness, it was useless to say anything else. Today, I finally saw how a skeleton dog could make an expression of despair. All right, I won't tease you anymore, Xiao Bei. Are the preparations done? Up to you. Although I have always thought that this is a bad idea, but aren't you known for being unreliable? Just treat it as me coaxing you to be happy. Cough. A light cough interrupted his grumbling. Then I, Lich Roland, hereby announce the official start of the Sulphur Mountain City Undead Tourism Week. The Death Crown theme park will officially begin operations. Yes, fighting and killing were meaningless. In this day and age, what mattered was the economy, the people's livelihood. Our Undead District was going to launch a new industry, Undead Theme Park. Headless Night Polo Competition, Skeleton Puzzle King Game, Ghost Festival Wild Dance Competition, riding a cool bone dragon around the entire Sulphur Mountain City. I had already prepared a series of selling points. Behind me, spinning along with the theme park's biggest selling point, a gigantic Ferris wheel formed from countless skeletons. It was over 300 meters tall, and when it spun, the demonic wind it created was like a dancing black dragon. The gigantic Ferris wheel resembled a titan, and it could even be seen from outside of Sulphur Mountain City. Although I had spent a lot of effort to convince the living that it wasn't some fearsome war machine or some frightening plot, but all of it was worth it. This was a living advertisement for the theme park. Very quickly, countless tourists would come over due to its reputation, and I would earn a huge sum of money. At this moment, my skeleton attendants dressed in clown clothes were beating drums at the entrance while I waited patiently for customers to come. Surprisingly, half an hour passed and not a single tourist came. Thus, I asked Abi, who was lying on my head, "Have the flyers been sent out?" "They have been sent out a long time ago." "Have you paid those goblin dwarves for their advertising fees?" "Yes." Did you put the safety guarantee from the Supreme Court in the advertisement? Of course, to think that you managed to get the permission and guarantee from the Supreme Court. Without this, no one would dare to come. Is my advertising slogan not good? No, it is very literary and very attractive. Witness your future, greet your future neighbors, dance with the monsters in the illusion, and enjoy a new experience that you have never had before. The first 3 days are free, and the first 100 customers will get a mysterious gift. Absolutely safe. Absolutely interesting. Then why is no one coming? I stared at the stupid dog, but it just smiled. Hee, Lord, you forgot that this is the undead district, the forbidden zone of life. What do you think we undead are in the eyes of the living? Hearing this, I was stunned. What are undead? Chapter 8. What are the undead? Perhaps, in the eyes of most living beings, the first thing that comes to mind is endless death. In reality, this saying isn't wrong. When the demon lords invented the magic to revive the dead on the battlefield between the order gods and the chaos demon gods, the undead calamity became the nightmare of the living. In reality, most of this can't be attributed to the undead themselves. In this continent, there were actually 2 reasons for the birth of the undead. Firstly, when the dead had great grievances, unwillingness, ideals, and were unwilling to die just like that, then there was an extremely small chance that they could be resurrected from the dead. This kind of naturally born undead has a very small chance of appearing, but they are usually very strong. After all, to resist the summoning of death, the will and grievances needed are not ordinary. It is said that the death god Ale is the oldest natural undead. The undead that are born from extreme grievances will indeed be a little twisted. However, those who purely rely on their own will to resist death and remain in the mortal world because of a certain regret are usually able to preserve themselves. Of course, among them, the strongest and noblest are the incarnations of the will of the heroes after they die. They are recognized by the order gods and are even given an immortal spiritual body and a nice name, Valkyrie. Other than the natural undead, the other type of undead is the unusually common undead calamity. Evil necromancers forcefully enslave the dead to create more death. This magic that summons the dead was originally invented by the demons, but today, there have been countless variations and developments. At the very beginning, there were only slow-moving corpses. After that, there were even faster skeletal warriors, evil-increasing sea monsters that were pieced together from flesh and blood, necromancers that mastered dark magic, black knight that was proficient in martial arts, and the strongest necromancer, liches. Following the changes in necromancy magic, the number of undead had increased to the point where there were no more individuals that were stronger than liches. However, liches were natural-born necromancers, and they were still the core of the race. There was no other reason than that they were cunning enough to grasp the direction of the evolution of the undead. What they were best at was researching and creating new undead and necromancy magic. 99% of the undead in existence were such acquired undead. They would only be able to develop self-awareness after reaching the silver rank and above. Even the strongest undead hero would be a demonic creature that would not recognize its own kin when it was first awakened by necromancy. Their hunger for fresh blood and souls would cause them to attack their closest loved ones. Once they had a taste of killing and devouring delicious souls, it would be hard for them to turn back. Bloodthirsty undead calamity was indeed correct. With the temperament of the demons in the Chaos faction, who specialized in shooting themselves in the foot, they tricked the Mountain Clan into a collective degeneration and created their mortal enemy, the demons. They invented necromancy magic, but created a race that was hostile to them. The undead that obtained freedom did not hesitate to rebel against their creator, and formed their own country. The current undead city Broly and the undead country Shiloh became the vanguard of the anti-demons. In the Shiloh Empire that was made up of the dead, the Dark Knight Council that was made up of liches was in power. The living were just the lowest of slaves. In addition, the undead calamity Yongya calamity that almost caused the end of the world 100 years ago, caused the reputation of the undead to become extremely bad in the Order faction. Valkyrie, natural undead, fantasy breeds, high-tier undead with self-awareness, low-tier undead instinctively bloodthirsty, and so on. Ordinary citizens did not have the knowledge and ability to differentiate between them. In their eyes, the undead district in the east was filled with terrifying demons. That is to say, no matter what we say or do, it will all be in vain. Of course, the living have their own world and the undead have their own world. Although your highness can disregard the boundary in between, it is obviously forcing the ordinary citizens to cross it. Abi, who was lying on my head, said. Although he was a dog, at this moment, he had the aura of a philosopher who had seen through life and death. Not far away, Abi was hugging a pile of bones and licking them, looking extremely satisfied. As far as the eye could see, it was a scene of demons dancing in a frenzy. However, in my eyes, it was an extremely normal scene of life. Undead indeed didn't want food and drink, but that didn't mean that the self-aware high-tier undead didn't have any desires. This was one of the largest markets in the East District. Many shops were open for business. How much is this antiseptic? Also, an insect repellent. Don't use sulfur. My skin is too sensitive, I'm allergic to it. This was a female corpse which. She was feeling upset over the increasing number of insectoid residents in her empty brain. Dark bandage, cursed bandage, I guarantee that your magic is as stable as your intestines. Are there any mummies or undead uncles who want it? The latest model of the Circle of Arcane Magic. There are also mushroom and bear prints available. All kinds of fresh blood for sale. Humans, elves, dwarves, all kinds of races have it. Virgins, androgynous, all kinds of genders have it. If you are a big customer of 2000cc, you can even enjoy a long-term blood delivery service. The little Red Riding Hood girl running around was really cute, but the goods she was selling were exceptionally terrifying. Skull sales. Gold, jade, bronze, stone carvings, dragon bones, you name it, we have it. Does anyone want to change their head? Uncle Lich, do you want to change your head? There is a black ISO quality verification. It guarantees that magic will flow smoothly. The quality is high and there are no fakes. 3 days of trial, and you can return it without any reason. Waving my hand to chase away the annoying little Red Riding Hood blood tribe, I turned my attention to the distance. The skeleton giant Croin, who was in charge of guarding the gate, was waving at me. Yo, those town security finally went back. I can finally go back. The undead district was unique in the entire Sulphur Mountain City. It was a relatively independent special district, and the town security didn't have the authority to enforce it. I seemed to have underestimated their determination to surround and capture me. To actually block the gate, it seemed like they were planning to lay an ambush for a long time, waiting for me to leave before capturing me to take revenge. Caught off guard, I was almost ambushed by them. Luckily, Croin was here and stopped them. Attacking the undead at the entrance of the undead district was an action that could easily lead to conflict. However, I, a good person, suggested to bury the hatchet. I heard that the Supreme Judge is very dissatisfied with the town security? No, of course this isn't a threat. I won't file a complaint to the Hall of Law Enforcement, and I won't hang a banner in front of the Supreme Court to complain about my injustice. No, I am a good person, and this isn't a threat. As long as you are willing to help me do an experiment, I am willing to leave with you. This isn't the first time I have come into contact with you. Don't worry, this experiment isn't some evil magic. You should also know that the Undead Paradise, the main tourist attraction of this year, is opening today and I am the contractor. But look, there aren't many people coming here to play. I am only inviting you to be the first batch of tourists. If you enjoy it, help me advertise it. I rubbed my hands together and said flatteringly, "Of course it's free, completely free of charge." As the first batch of tourists, there will even be a mysterious gift. Cheating? I am a believer of the God of law and justice. You are insulting my faith. There isn't such a God? There will be one in the future. Don't worry, I am a man of my words. As long as you help me do the experiment for all the attractions, I will leave with you immediately. Thus, they agreed to my request. Then, they regretted it. Hhhhhhh. Smelly bones. Let Momo down. Momo's entire body hurts. Momo is going to die. The one in front of him was a certain female knight who was being hung by a rope and whizzing by. Then, there is silence because the rope breaks. Abe, remember to write a slogan on the bungee jumping platform next time. Take off your armor before bungee jumping. Looking at the huge hole in front of me, I sympathize with her. I knew that you didn't have any good intentions. Let me down. As she roars, the one who flies by is Vice Captain Yawn, whom I met not too long ago. At this moment, her tan face is ashen, as though she is about to vomit at any moment. Obviously, she isn't suited for the high-speed spinning of the roller coaster. Let me down, you devils. Accept the punishment of the holy light. Don't summon the holy light on the roller coaster. Forget it, I am a step too late. Abe, remember to write it on the signboard. Never summon the holy light on the ride. My reminder is a step too late. No matter what, these rides are still the product of necromancy. If they were to meet the nemesis of the undead, the holy light, when a roller coaster slides down a slope of more than 100 meters at high speed, the sight of the body disintegrating, I have finally seen it for myself today. It really flew quite far. I swear, I definitely didn't do it on purpose. Ugh, bastard. The elven beauties ungracefully gathered in a circle and vomited. That scene, Abe, reduced the speed of the hell-shaking cup by 300%. Looks like I forgot that the living will feel dizzy if they spin too fast. I should just reduce the speed. My head. I can't see anything, I am going to kill you. A 180-degree rotation of the universe flying saucer is enough. Forget about 360 degrees. Looks like I forgot that the living will temporarily lose their sight if their head is facing downwards for too long, and hanging upside down for too long will cost their lives. So high, so scary, even the heaven and earth are shaking. Let me down, I beg of you. It is enough for the Ferris wheel to move slowly up and down, there is no need to spin inside. Evil, retreat. Holy light, there are so many evil spirits, am I going to stop here? Isn't it better to not use real spirits in the haunted house? That isn't scary enough. But if we use real spirits, what should we do when the warriors instinctively get serious? It is better to temporarily seal the haunted house. Stop, I beg of you to stop. My head is dizzy. No. Pa! The loud sound of someone crashing into the wall is painful to listen to. The specter horse can pass through walls, the living. Luckily, they were able to do the test. That is great, no lives were lost. The Saint Knight is famous for their thick skin, but they are still in such a miserable state, if it was a normal citizen. Looking at the tragedy in front of me, listening to the screams and cries, I can't help but feel a lingering fear. The result of using the amusement facilities from another world is that it is not acclimatized. If it wasn't for these kind-hearted people testing, I am afraid that there would be a huge mess. In order to thank them, I intend to fulfill my promise and return to the town security's encampment with them after they are done with the test. But everyone has worked hard today, there are still 120 more tests. After the test, we will report to the town securities team. I will definitely not run away. You better remember, even if you win today, one day we will bring you to justice. But they ran away, don't forget to bring your mysterious gift, the annual pass to the undead paradise, free for a year. Remember to come again next time. Chapter 9. On the muddy field, a lone figure was running. Running barefoot on a track made of cinders was painful. Furthermore, she was carrying 100 kilograms of heavy armor on her back. This was no longer a training exercise but a punishment. Although the cinders that had been sprinkled with water wouldn't stir up any black ash, it was filled with malicious mud. Her originally smooth bare feet were now covered in wounds. Every few hundred meters, the slender figure would fall once. Even though her entire body was covered in wounds and mud, the young lady would struggle to get up and continue running. Then, she fell again. The blood that flowed from her bare feet formed a trail of blood that extended all the way to her. The physical pain wasn't much. The piercing gazes of the people around her were the most painful. The passers-by couldn't bear it, but no one stopped her. This was because this was the Supreme Court of Sulphur Mountain City. In the eyes of the citizens, this was the most sacred and just place. If someone was being punished, there would naturally be a corresponding crime. At the side of the track, two silver-masked judges were discussing softly. "Is that Captain Diana of the town security? Why is she running around here barefoot and carrying heavy armor? It looks like she's being punished. Didn't Lord Womian's order for the track to be watered in the morning? It seems like it was prepared for her. What did she do? Didn't the town security take action on their own a few days ago? They launched a new wave of crackdown without reporting to Lord Womian's. It seems like Lord Womian's caught them red-handed. Take action on their own? Isn't that a super heavy crime? At the very least, they would be banished." "Oh, I understand. Yes, banishing them all is obviously too heavy, but it's impossible for them to not be punished at all." Thus, this lady came to make up for the paperwork these few days, but Lord Womian's didn't meet her. Today, he was willing to meet her. He just casually mentioned that he wanted to see the town security's heavy running training, and the lady went to run. "If we follow the procedure and leave it to the court to decide, using violence without permission would at least result in banishment. But it's obvious that the punishment is too heavy. But if she doesn't get punished at all, there will definitely be others who imitate her, and they won't have the confidence to punish others in the future. Yeah, the best way to deal with it is probably like this. Let's give her the cold shoulder for a few days and let her know the seriousness of the matter. Then, let her consciously accept the punishment as a warning to others. The law is dead, but people are alive. This way, not only does he maintain the dignity of the law, but he also doesn't punish wrongly, allowing the guilty to escape punishment. The balance between this is worth studying. Lord Womian's is truly amazing. Let's hurry up and get to work. I feel that Lord Womian's is currently observing us from the top of the tower. If we leave any traces of him not working hard, we'll be in trouble." The two of them left in a hurry. It was already time to go to work. Dressed in robes, they had their own cases to deal with. The ears of dark elves were very sensitive. The discussion between the two judges did not escape Diana's ears. So, she gritted her teeth and stood up once again. She was on the verge of collapsing as she propped up the heavy armor and continued to be punished. Not too far away, at the top of the tower, in Womian's office, the heartless Supreme Judge was currently raising his binoculars to look over here. Just that, different from what the judges guessed, he wasn't supervising but admiring the beautiful scenery. As expected, the wet clothes completely exposed the figure of the beauty. On the contrary, the mud accentuated the figure of the exercising body, making it look even more voluptuous. Next time, no matter how much those fellows object to it, I will definitely make beauty mud wrestling a part of the sports meet. Putting down the binoculars, I seriously considered the possibility of letting this policy pass through the council. As for the punishment, the dignity of the law, is that something important? Although those stubborn old men in the council might not allow it, I will approve it. The one who was admiring the beautiful scenery with me was a middle-aged man with a lecherous smile on his face. Although his looks weren't bad, he exuded a sense of exhaustion from his bones. Red light armor, a fiery red two-handed greatsword, fiery red hair that seemed to be on fire. His entire body seemed to be on fire. Although he was in a peaceful city, he was fully armed as usual. The broken silver sword at his waist was perhaps the only other color on his body. Phoenix of the East, Undying Man, there were a lot of nicknames like that. But the one that people were most familiar with was his identity as the Red Lotus Sword Saint, a hero. 130 years ago, he brought his adventurer group and ambushed Lord Yongye's undead army and successfully beheaded the undead Emperor Lord Yongye, causing the entire undead army to collapse. It was basically a classic story of a hero slaying a demon king to save the world. After that, he rejected the recruitment and gifts from various countries and inconceivably came to the underground world that no one cared about and built this unique city. When the unique reputation of Sulphur Mountain City spread to the surface, the reputation of this hero rose once more. Living epic, the most perfect hero, the humans of the surface already called their hero this. But at this moment, facing the faintly discernible sexy curves under the wet clothes, that upright square face was also filled with a wretchedness that all men would understand. Why don't we just organize a marathon and let the town security, the dark elves, the church's female priests participate? They are only allowed to wear underwear. Haha, just the tickets alone would be enough to earn a fortune. Red Lotus Sword Saint Adam Han, as my direct superior, the city lord of Sulphur Mountain, his greatest joy was to cause trouble for his subordinates and the civil council. My proposal would definitely make those old fellows in the council furious, so how could he not like it? Don't look at how old and frivolous he is. In my system, this fellow is actually a LV-262 semi-god existence. If placed in the surface world, he would at least be the ruler of a country. Io, old bachelor, you have gotten stronger again. When I met him last week, he was only LV-260. For an existence of this level, it was difficult to advance even further. To rise by 2 levels in a week, it was simply inconceivable. Yeah, old bachelor, your eyes are still as sharp as ever. Things like the fire phoenix, the older it gets, the stronger it gets. The current me, my heart of the phoenix has already been ignited to the extreme. I should be able to beat you at your peak by myself. Hee, even if you are already invincible, you are still a Chinibu old bachelor. That's right, just like you, an old bachelor who uses skeletons as pets. After the 2 old fellows who had been single for a few hundred years habitually hurt each other, they both sighed. When will these days of being single come to an end? If I want to find a girlfriend, I am already numb to little left, and little right. If it wasn't for you 2 messing things up, I would have already gotten a woman. Perhaps I might even have a son or grandson. Are you showing off? Is having a physical body that worth showing off? My little left and little right are only bones left. Showing off? Show off your face. And those rumors of yours, saying that I am destined to be alone, causing all the beauties in the city to avoid me. Last week, the beauty I accidentally bumped into, even though it was a beautiful acquaintance, she actually went to the holy church to dispel her curse, thinking that she was being possessed. Do you know how I felt at that moment? Of course I know, this is the reason why I told that desert beauty that you are destined to be alone. I was wondering how an outsider would know about these rumors. As expected, it was you, bastard. Alright, next, the most perfect human hero Adam and Sulphur Mountain City's most dignified Supreme Judge Wumians start a fight like 2 kids fighting. But as usual, this kind of meaningless battle ended quickly. Although the semi-god warrior easily dealt with me, a trash with less than 5 fighting strength, why would I be afraid of him since I don't feel pain? All kinds of mockery about being single came one after another. Serves you right for being a bachelor for your entire life. Legend has it that a bachelor becomes a great mage at the age of 30. You are almost 200 years old. Could it be that you have already become a great mage? Come, release a fireball for me to see. Do you need me to use magic to help you turn little left and little right into girls? I guarantee that they will be super cute. Oh, you wavered, you actually wavered. Don't be silly, if magic could do this, would I still be single now? Of course, while I was using my words to hurt him, my heart was also dripping blood. I am already 376 years old and I am still single. I want to revive. When we remembered that we still have official matters to settle today, it was already sunset. As expected, just like what a certain philosopher said, after hurting each other, only emptiness remains. Hey, you aren't here to fight with me, are you? Of course not. Marguerite wanted me to settle official matters. What is it? Let me think. As expected, you are suffering from dementia. Stop arguing. I was just about to figure it out. Oh right, there are two matters today. No, it is actually one matter. I am about to die, you should know that, right? Even though he was talking about his own death, this blockhead played it down as though he was talking about where he was going to play tomorrow. Of course, the shortest is a year, the longest is 3 years, then you should die. Of course I knew, in the character information of the system, there was a red border beside his name, lifespan nearing its end. He was not far from death. 157 years, I have already lived long enough, I have no regrets. Is that so? No regrets? That's right, the lifespan of a normal human on the He continent is 60 to 80 years. This fellow relied on his astonishing strength to forcefully live to almost 200 years. He can indeed be considered as having a long lifespan. If you want to live longer, it isn't difficult at all. Of course, it isn't difficult. For such a powerful warrior, as long as he is willing to believe in the gods, any random identity as an apostle would be able to extend his lifespan indefinitely. And if he doesn't want to work for others, he can reincarnate into other long-lived races, such as angels, demons, or undead. To him, it isn't difficult at all. However, Adam smiled, a casual smile, a smile without any worries. Even though he is still young, he seems like an old man who has already seen through the vicissitudes of life. No, 150 years is too long for a short-lived human. I have already lived long enough. A village youth who gained nothing has already completed his dream of being a hero. Now that most of the people I know are dead and I have done what I wanted to do, it is time for me to rest. Besides, it is quite unsightly for an old man to always be at the top. It is about time for a newcomer to take over. You are still thinking about Lisa, huh? His sudden realization couldn't fool me. Lisa Grant, Adam's past companion and also his crush. However, she died in a battle against Lord Yongye more than 100 years ago. Given this fellow's ability, if he really wanted to find a girlfriend, how could he not find one? If he really persevered through those 2 weddings, given his fighting prowess, how could he have just watched us cause a ruckus? Io, you really are a Casanova. But aren't you a little too selfish? Yes, I am very selfish. He actually nodded his head and admitted it. I have let Marguerite down. As an undying, she is still young, she should have better choices. The great Saint Marguerite is infatuated with Adam, but Adam is unable to let go of his dead ex-girlfriend. This is already an open secret among the upper echelons of Sulphur Mountain City. That so-called 2 weddings, it is more likely that he hopes that Marguerite would give up on him. Of course, Marguerite contacted me without hesitation, asking me to give a gift to Adam's wedding. This shows that she is unwilling to give up on him. Something like rumors can be spread, naturally, it can be dispelled. The reason why it became a secret that everyone knows is probably because Adam, as the city lord, is happy to see it. What a foolish triangle relationship. All right, as an outsider, I don't want to butt in on such matters. But, since you want to die then, I have guessed another matter. Of course, since I, the jailer, am about to die, then it is time for you, the prisoner, to be released. Congratulations, Lord Yongye, how does it feel to be about to regain your freedom? Yes, this Sulphur Mountain City is actually a prison. The hero Adam, The great Saint Marguerite and the ancient red dragon Little Red are the jailers. And I, the former undead Emperor Lord Yongye, am the only prisoner in this prison. Then, Hero Adam, are you sure you want to release me to destroy the world? Up to you. A world without Lisa, if you want to destroy it, then destroy it. Chapter 10. Lord Yongye? Actually, it originated from a joking vow. The holy light will never be extinguished like the sun, and the holy radiance will shine upon everything forever? Then, since we have been betrayed by the holy light, let us plunge the world into eternal darkness. After being betrayed by the Holy Church whom I was loyal to in the past, losing my family and kingdom, I cursed the holy light that I believed in and decided to bring a new order to the continent, sweeping the corrupted kings into history. Since you are willing to betray the alliance for your own kingdom and betray my kingdom and people, then I shall destroy your kingdom. Alright, I know that it sounds very Chunibu, but doesn't everyone have a Chunibu dark history in their memories that they are trying to destroy? A Chunibu is scary, but a Chunibu transmigrator with a system cheat is even scarier. The evil Lich system calculates the points I receive based on the changes in karma caused by my actions. Pranks don't affect me much, so the rewards aren't much. Instead, as long as I bring about death and destruction, I will receive an endless amount of points. These points will make me stronger and bring about more suffering. What else would bring about more death and destruction than a world war? Alright, a war that destroys everything. Just like what was recorded in the epics on the surface, the nameless undead lord summoned the unyielding army of the undead. The black wings of the blood tribe covered the sun and eternal darkness descended. In the endless darkness, the undead danced on the battlefield and the frenzied Black Knight started a head-hunting competition. When the horizon was covered by a sliver of white, the sea of skeletons had already reached the shore and the long night of blood arrived. In that war, as the death spread, my strength and army snowballed. In the end, I even became the only semi-god undead lord in recent times. The undead emperor Lord Yongye became the nightmare of the living. Under the undead calamity, 4 empires with thousands of years of history came to an end. 3 duchies and 6 kingdoms were swept into the trash heap of history. No one knew why Lord Yongye became stronger and stronger in the war. Where did he get the magic to control thousands of troops, and where did he get the power to command dozens of undead lords? In the end, the endless sea of undead drowned everything. When Lord Yongye's Yongye army defeated the allied armies of the various countries organized by the Holy Church, everyone thought that the era of the living was about to end and the era of the undead was about to begin. But suddenly, a piece of news spread throughout the world, and everyone went crazy with joy. Great Lord Yongye was assassinated, and the undead army disintegrated. The Red Lotus hero, Adam Han, became famous overnight. The entire Aichi continent was singing the praises of this name. The elders raised their wine cups and wished that his heroic name would live on forever. The middle-aged people loudly praised his heroic epic. The youngsters and children saw him as their future goal and idol. According to the statistics after the incident, if it wasn't for the fairy tale-like hero Adam Han leading his adventurer group to slay Lord Yongye, perhaps the entire continent would have lost more than 70% of its population. At this moment, that legendary hero was like a child who had been fooled. His face was filled with displeasure. "Hey, I'm about to die. You should tell me the truth. Back then, were you going easy on us? Why were the guards so empty? Why were the red hunting hounds of the royal guards thousands of miles away? Why didn't you have a single sovereign-level undead by your side? Why did you, who was at the pinnacle of semi-god, lose to us, a bunch of legends?" I hesitated for a moment, but in the end, I still didn't speak the truth. "Well, don't you know that reviving after death will cause me to lose a portion of my memories? I have long forgotten about what happened back then." Actually, that year, after destroying the few kingdoms that threw stones at me while I was down and killing the bishop of the Holy Light who betrayed my motherland, the West Mist communal country, my anger dissipated quite a bit. At the very least, I became much more rational. With just a little deduction, I knew what would happen next. If the Yongye army continued to advance, then other than endless death and destruction, there would be nothing else to be gained. At that time, I was already riding a tiger, unable to back down, when the undead lords under me were excitedly discussing about building a country and how to turn the entire Aichi continent into a paradise for the undead. The Yongye army formed by hundreds of undead lords wasn't something that I could stop alone. Thus, as the leader of the alliance, I naturally died. However, I left behind my last words. Only by obtaining the Eternal Night Scepter, the symbol of royal authority, can I become the symbol of the next undead emperor. God Equipment, Eternal Night Scepter, the symbol of the undead king. It is said that it is something that Lord Yongye carries with him, and it hides the secrets of the Lord's strength. However, it has never appeared on the stage of history. This was how the God Equipment illustration of the Tower of 10,000 Spells introduced the Eternal Night Scepter. Of course, due to my sudden death, I didn't mention what exactly the Eternal Night Scepter was. Thus, all the undead lords suspected that I was hiding it. Also, who said that undead don't have desires? Power and authority are the most cherished by all intelligent beings. Alright, there isn't much to say about what happened next. The civil war broke out and the undead calamity came to an end. As for the current undead kingdom, Shilua Empire, more than half of the 12 highest undead lords were old acquaintances from the allied armies. To think that there would be a legend that the one who obtains the Eternal Night Scepter will become the next undead emperor. However, it is a pity that this legend is fake because there is no such thing as the Eternal Night Scepter in this world. Yes, even the name of Lord Yongye originated from a joke. How can there be such a strange god equipment in this world? Everyone was fooled by me. After I succeeded in my revenge, I no longer had any goals. After dying once, I would change my character and become a good man again. Initially, I intended to start all over again after reviving, accumulate my strength and wait for the so-called plot of the game to unfold. At the same time, I would wait for the return of my foolish younger brother. Perhaps the only thing that wasn't part of my plan was that the Saint Marguerite saw through my lies and knew that it was hard for a lich to die cleanly. In the end, she sealed my phylactery and bound me. This place, Sulphur Mountain City, was originally a barren land that they chose to live in. However, the arrival of some refugees turned this place into the original Sulphur Mountain City. In the underground world where danger lurks everywhere, the protection of experts is more important than anything else. At the very least, they wouldn't become the prey of slave merchants and the food of ferocious beasts. Indeed, Adam, that fellow, is willing to help others. As long as Adam says yes, Marguerite is willing to do anything. On the other hand, Little Red is happy to meet a new toy, which is me. In order to earn some points, she is also willing to help. Thus, more and more refugees came to seek protection. Slowly, Sulphur Mountain Town was formed. After 100 years, the small village in the past has become a well-known paradise city. Thus, the 3 bored fellows became the so-called 3 heads of the city. Adam became his mascot, the city lord, Marguerite was forced to manage the administration, and Little Red continued to sleep, occasionally waking up to cause trouble for everyone. Seeing that they were so busy that they didn't know what to do, I, who was equally bored, used the experience of my 2 lives to create this administrative and legal system, which continues to this day. Looking at the Lich who is playing with his finger bone, Adam sighs deeply. Based on the mainstream view of the Aichi continent, holy light and law represent order, while death and destruction represent chaos, should be the 2 opposing factions. When a life is born with the identity of a certain race, its faction is already determined. Back then, when you said that you wanted to become a judge and manage the law, we all thought that you were joking. Who would have thought that you would actually succeed? The most famous legal system of our Sulphur Mountain city, which is hailed as the greatest masterpiece of the Order faction, actually came from a Lich who creates chaos and death. Even if I were to tell others, no one would believe me. The Lich in front of us is even more incomprehensible. If we say that he is a good person, he has single-handedly created countless tragedies, and he is the incarnation of evil and chaos, an undead Lich. If we say that he is a bad person, not only did we not see any shocking evil deeds in the past 100 years, we even see him enforcing the law impartially, getting rid of evil and doing good. Long-lived races like the Blood Tribe and Elves tend to live at an extremely slow pace. Giant dragons and undead are even more famous for having no concept of time. Normal short-lived races are busy because they cherish their lives, but after living for more than half a century, the mental fatigue and pain will cause them to become sluggish and incapable of doing anything. Humans are social animals, and staying away from the crowd will only make them eccentric. Someone has done statistics before. No matter how kind and upright a mage who becomes a Lich was, after living alone for hundreds of years, the eyes of outsiders, and the corruption of black magic, it will make them eccentric and evil. Even an undying warrior like Adam has lived long enough. However, the Lich in front of us doesn't become silent and apprehensive like his brethren. Instead, he is abnormally active, causing trouble every day. Freak. To be honest, I really envy you sometimes. Law Incantation and Law Incantator. Your original codex is actually able to provide advanced job classes like Justice Knight, Law Incantator, and Judge to the Strong. Without a doubt, this means that the origin of order has recognized your power of the codex. As the creator of the power of order, which is on the same level as holy light, you should have reached that boundary. Hearing this, I paused. I seemed to have underestimated the man in front of me once again. As expected of a semi-god warrior who walked step by step to where he is today. He seems to have reached that boundary that belongs to the god. I rolled my eyes and the lie was about to come out. However, looking at how Adam's lifespan is nearing its end, I hesitated for a moment. Finally, on account of our many years of friendship, I decided to speak the truth. Death has given me endless power, but the undead are inherently lacking. The undead will never be able to reach that boundary. If I revive once more, I will probably be able to reach it. Is it worth it? Death has also taken away your physical body, power, and probably your memories. How much of the past do you still remember? Do you still remember the days when we went on adventures together? Evelyn, Cavendish, father. Numerous faces flashed through my mind. However, most of these unforgettable faces were incomplete. However, I won't regret it. At the very least, I have already avenged them. As for memories, it is enough for a person to live in the present. Always reminiscing about the past will only make one weak and boring. Of course it is worth it. My ambition is the sea of stars. My codex of justice will surpass the boring power of holy light one day. I really envy you for always being so energetic. Then, I will have even more confidence in handing Sulphur Mountain City over to you. Due to my excessive shock, I took a few minutes to reattach my dislocated jaw. You must be joking. How can a prisoner be his own jailer? Don't even think about it. Chapter 11. What is the relationship between me and this unlucky man in front of me? Probably, I can't explain it clearly anymore. There was a period of time in the past when we were companions who went on adventures together. But after that, it was the relationship of a hero and a demon king. Of course, the relationship that lasted the longest is still the relationship of a jailer and a prisoner. Now that the jailer said that he is tired, old and doesn't want to work anymore, he intends to hand over the prison to the prisoner? What kind of joke is this? You intend to hand over the city to a lich like me? A demon king who almost destroyed the world? Stop joking. Adam smiles bitterly. I also think that it is unreliable. Then, who do you think I should hand it over to? Yeah, who should I hand it over to? As a red dragon, Little Red fits the characteristics of her race. After eating, she sleeps. After waking up, she finds someone to play with. After she is tired, she goes back to sleep. But, if she were to become the city lord, she would probably sell her for gold the next day. The last of the three heads, Saint Marguerite? She is smart and knowledgeable, so she should be a suitable candidate. Of course, Marguerite is the first choice, but she doesn't want to do it. Of course, other people wouldn't do it. She has already spent more than 100 years of her youth here. Now, not to mention that you blockhead doesn't understand, you even intend to cross the river of time to die for love and throw your responsibility to someone else. Marguerite is already being very restrained by not teaching you a lesson. Looking at the unhappy face of the man in front of me, I can't help but get angry. Why would such a good lady like Marguerite fall for such an idiot? Damn it, if only I had a good lady like Marguerite, hee hee. Adam smiles gleefully. His smile makes one want to punch him in the face. Bastard, you have already beaten me up. All right, since I have thought of it, why should I hesitate? I shall give this old handsome man a dark eye. Then, the two of us continue to fight. But 10 seconds later, due to the disadvantage of my job, I am suppressed once again. When he sits on my spine and starts to pull my leg bone, I can only helplessly slap the ground and surrender. Stop pulling. My bone is going to break, it's going to break. It really broke. Bastard, if I was still a saint knight. Enough, say it, are you going to take it or not? I'm not doing it. It wasn't easy for me to wait for my sentence to be released, and I still had things to do. You want to use your position as a prison warden to tie up a prisoner? Are you kidding me? Prison? Even now, you still see this city that we built with our blood and sweat as a prison to trap you? Are you willing to see it lose its protector and become the vassal of other underground city lords? Of course. Originally, I was going to say something along the lines of course it's a prison, who cares about it, but halfway through, I hesitated. Do I really want to see the city that I have spent more than 100 years building as a prison that binds me? I have to say, in my long life, the days in Sulphur Mountain City were the most enjoyable. There are many races living together, and there hasn't been a large-scale war for decades. The people live in peace and contentment. This unique city is probably different from any other city in the HE continent. We built this city bit by bit. Alright, it's really annoying to let these greedy pigs take possession of the jewels we've worked so hard to create. So, what do you want me to do? Don't ask me to become the city lord. You know I have my own things to do and don't have the energy to do so. Just tell me the truth. He understands me and naturally, I understand him. He should know that I am unable to accept becoming the city lord. Perhaps the excuse he is giving now is prepared by Marguerite. Perhaps he is retreating in order to advance and make me accept some things. As expected, your reaction is exactly as what Marguerite said. Since we can't continue to be the city lord, then let's pass it to the next generation? Next generation? We are all single, then what about the next generation? You mean? Yes, and my disciple, your rumored girlfriend, the red-haired Anne, is back. Anne, an orphan. This year, she should be around 17 to 18 years old. Don't look at me like that. She is an orphan adopted by Adam. The last time we met was 7 to 8 years ago. Liches aren't sensitive to the passing of time. After so many years, it is already good enough that I can roughly guess her age. As for the rumored girlfriend, that was just a joke. At the time, she was still a lowly, and when she saw us brothers complaining about not having a girlfriend, she actually said that she pitied me and that she wanted to marry me when she grew up. And so, Lich Roland's necrophilic girlfriend became a laughingstock that was constantly mentioned. Stop joking, leave it to Anne? Are you sure that there will be anything left in Sulphur Mountain City the next day? What kind of person is Anne? Probably using one sentence to describe her, a naughty brat. The world's most naughty brat king. The first time we met, I was in the middle of applying grease to my bones. That was a high-grade product mixed with salt snake butter. Just as I was feeling happy about my skulls being polished until they glistened, shoot! A loud shout with a childish voice. The scenery in front of me flashes by and the view in front of me spins continuously. That day, I found out that even a lich would feel dizzy if his head spins too fast. Afterward, my head flew a few miles away. My headless body scared countless passers-by to tears before I found my head, which fell into a rubbish bin, even without a sense of smell. On that afternoon, I was disgusted by the rubbish and bedbugs. Only after that did I find out that the 6-year-old and back then was obsessed with the football that I invented. At that time, what she loved to do the most was to follow the instincts of a living creature. Whenever she sees something round, be it a rubbish bin or a kitten or a puppy on the road, she would shout loudly and kick it. The skull of a lich is also round. Back then, the reflective head looked similar to a white ball. I am not a petty person and I wouldn't be calculative with a child. But, it seems that she fell in love with the kick of a powerful kick. Those leather balls are meant for women to kick. If you use too much strength, they will fall apart. Uncle Bone's skull is filled with magic and it is much more interesting than those boring balls. It feels really good to kick it. From then on, I hated the innocent and childish smile of a naughty brat. The most inconceivable thing is that not only does her attack come without any warning, she actually doesn't have any malicious intent. On the other hand, most of the defensive spells on my body require malicious intent to activate. Thus, before I rewrote my defensive spells, those days were really unbearable to look back on. Thus, every time I met her, it would turn into a disaster. In those days, I would only hear that iconic greeting, "Hi, Uncle Bone," before the sight in front of me retreats and the world spins 360 degrees before accurately entering the cave. The reason why I hate naughty brats so much is also because of this. Then, when percussion and rappers became popular, I don't know where this brat heard that bones with magic are the best material to make magic drumstick. It can bring along the effect of magic resonance that can make the entire audience go crazy. Other than dragon bones, the highest grade of bone magic material is the ultimate of undead, Lich. Alright, her band Skeleton Rock and Roll did shock the entire city. But, if she wasn't a part of the musical instrument, how could I be happy when I was praised for the outstanding timbre of her ribs? When she heard about the ice castle and the frigid winter mountains from a storybook, she actually had the wildest idea of organizing an art sculpture exhibition with bones as the theme. We don't have ice and snow here, only sulfur. But a large amount of sulfur is poisonous. However, we are also a famous city of undead. Let's use undead to make sculptures. My artistic cells are on fire right now. When this lass left this city to wreak havoc on the world outside, the entire city fell into a state of celebration. And the happiest ones are probably the undead in the East City who had been wrecked by her. The Headless Knight polo competition, the Skeleton Dance King selection, the Banshee's I am the king of singers. She doesn't fear the undead like a normal person should. The entire East City was turned into a paradise for the undead with death as the theme. However, the current undead tourism theme also originated from this idea. The plan of using the undead tourism as a selling point to revitalize Sulphur Mountain City has already become a reality. Don't say it like that. That Lassen might be a troublemaker, but isn't it because of her troublemaking that the undead and the other citizens have gotten closer? Don't you think that to be the leader of this city, one doesn't need to be capable but to treat the citizens equally? In this aspect, Anne is the best. It was Marguerite who told you this again, right? Hee, that's what I think too. If it wasn't for her high popularity, Why would everyone be willing to mess around with her? As a leader, it isn't enough to just have a bright side and popularity. You need to have a hand in the dark. So, you and Marguerite want me to help her? As long as she is on her way, it won't take long. If you feel that she isn't doing well enough, you can replace her. After all, there isn't anyone who can stop you. Adam smiles gleefully. Besides, little Annie is your fiancée. It's only natural for you to help her. I didn't reply. Originally, I wanted to reject him, but a sudden situation messed up my plans. At this moment, a golden panel appears in front of me. Ding. Congratulations, host. You have triggered an epic-ranked quest, Rise of the Phoenix. Quest requirement: investigate and solve the crisis that Sulphur Mountain City is facing. Before Adam dies, groom Anne. Laid to become an independent leader. Quest reward: Epic ranked discount scroll. Buy any item below Epic ranked from the system shop at half price. Qualification to activate the main storyline quest. At the very least, before you leave your hometown, entrust your home to a reliable person. You probably didn't expect to see a wasteland when you return. Quest failure penalty: would it be better to turn you into a skull with a mushroom growing on it? Or a mushroom with a skull growing on it? None of them are good? Then it should be a skull with a mushroom growing on it. In the past, I have triggered this darn system's sudden quest, but it was usually to kill a certain number of creatures and give me some unreliable honorary title. This is the first time it is such a serious one. But at this moment, I am attracted by its reward. Qualification to activate the main storyline quest is easy to understand. Finally, it is time for the game's storyline to unfold. The so-called main storyline quest is probably the historical event that the players experience, the undefeatable 7 calamities of purgatory. This was within my expectations, but the other reward is really tempting. Discount scroll? If I can buy a physical body at half price, wouldn't I be able to revive in advance? But right after that, another quest pops up. Ding. Congratulations, host, for triggering the optional epic-ranked quest. Lich King returns again. Why do I have to say again? Quest objective: regardless of whether it is a malevolent god or a conspiracy, tremble in front of the Lich King. Absolute violence may not be able to solve everything, but at the very least, it can get rid of the protesters. Become a city lord in the shortest time possible and rebuild the Yongya army. Let the living fear the undead calamity once again. It is time for those lazy bones in the East District to get moving. If we allow them to continue messing around, it will really become an undead theme park. They are about to forget their honor as the East Wolves of the Night. Quest reward: qualifications to activate the Feudal Lord system and the War for the Continent storyline, a perfect semi-god Lich body. Quest failure penalty: to be honest, for a 1,000-year-old scourge like you to be so cunning, I really can't think of any reason for you to fail.